Reveille, donks.
Look at us now, tip to tip. This is our life. This is our passion. That's the spirit we bring to this show.
I'm Luke Thomas.
I'm Brian Campbell.
This is Morning Kombat.
Yeah. Live and direct from Las Vegas. Morning Kombat on the grounds, on the scene here at the MGM Grand for Saturday's Canelo Alvarez versus Jaime Munguia. PBC on Prime Video pay-per-view. Luke Thomas, Brian Campbell, welcome to a 2-hour plus live interview special here from Radio Row. Going to get you fired the heck up for Saturday's fights. All the names are going to be sitting right here next to Luke Thomas.
In the words of Zhilei Zhang, we're going to bang each other.
To some degree. By the way, want to shout out here, okay? We're talking about all the smoke, right? All the
That's
smoke
right.
production.
Shouts to all those guys.
Shout out to the new project that Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes, of course, the host of All the Smoke, have. Anillos, their new mezcal brand, launching this weekend, Luke.
I think the website is drinkanillos or anillos.com.
Yes, Anillos translates directly to rings.
Plural. It's the
It
S
could
on
be
the
a
end.
championship ring. It could be a ring of smoke. I'm currently wearing a ring on my bohajes. Can you translate that?
On your
directly?
huevos?
Yeah, there you go. All right. Hey, let's not waste any time.
We have to get going.
We got Canelo. We got Munguia. We got so many more coming in. Let's bring in our first guest right out of high school into the ring and opening up this card this weekend.
Also, I say his nickname, and I weirdly feel racist doing it.
Oh, you're talking about White Magic?
White
Let's
Magic
slide
is
in
here.
Vito
Let's slide over just a little bit.
Jr.
What's going
was
on,
in a
guys?
10-round featured super welterweight bout against veteran Ronald Cruz this Saturday. You can watch that, by the way, live, I believe, right on Prime Video, right? Short before the start of the
believe that's right,
pay-per-view.
yes.
One of the featured preliminary bouts. Vito, always a pleasure to chat with you.
Always.
I mean, really, like, he's living my high school dreams right now.
Tell the audience one more time, you are how old?
I'm 21.
Oh, so
No,
you're
in
losing
my
now.
mind, you're still like 16.
Yeah,
Vito,
well,
right?
I've been pro since I'm 17, so everyone always says, you've been in the game a while. Well, yeah, I've been pro since I'm 17, so now I'm 4 years in the game. Maybe a vet at this point, you know what I mean?
Do you get the fade in Vegas, or do you get it in Jersey before you get to Vegas?
Well, I was in Houston, but I
Okay.
got it in Vegas.
What do you tell them? How do you get the fade?
I say, give me a skin fade, trim the top. My hair was crazy because I was in camp for 2 months, didn't get a haircut or anything.
Oh,
so,
you were looking like the Geico caveman.
So yeah, I was all like disheveled, but
All
now
right,
we're
Vito,
all
we have a
good.
big debate on this show because I go to, tough barbershops that get you a real nice-ass fade on the hard streets of Connecticut for about $12 to $18. And this guy in Washington, D.C. won't get his haircut unless they charge him $100. What the hell?
That's not quite true, but yeah.
It is crazy
A
how
good
much they're
haircut, how much
charging.
do you pay?
$75.
Oh,
shit.
my God.
Eat
well,
shit.
well, okay, but he's like a pro boxer. He's like a celebrity.
All right,
and
fine.
shit,
And he's
right?
got like a gray head of hair. He can get
His
away with it. I'm just
DMs
saying.
are probably overflowing. There's no activity in my
I'm just
DMs,
saying,
right?
if you live in a major metropolitan area and you want a decent fade,
You gotta pay. You're gonna have
gotta
to pay. Yeah, you gotta pay. When I was in LA, it was like 120. Yeah, LA was
Shit.
crazy.
All right, Vito, we got to ask you about the news that came out yesterday. Every boxer's got an opinion. Everyone's kind of all over the place. Ryan
Yeah.
Garcia, allegedly, well, I mean, he did pop positive. That's not alleged.
Yeah.
The question is whether or not he took it. There could be 2 substances. We'll have to see. Your reaction.
So wait, what do you mean if he didn't take it? How else could it have popped up?
So here's what happened. He tested positive for 2 things.
Yeah.
One, where for sure they know he was in his system.
Yeah.
The other one they have to give an extra test to verify that.
Okay.
Because it's an anabolic steroid. The other one is not.
Oh, I got
So they're
it.
waiting
I
to
got
see if the other test shows he popped for a second.
I see what you're saying.
Substance.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you want to keep the sport clean at all costs. We'll see if how this popped up. If it is it official that it popped up and is.
Oh, it's official.
There's
but it's
still
official.
some further testing that could exonerate him, but for sure this stuff was detected
He
in
has
his
the
body.
chance to get his B sample.
Listen,
tested.
this is gonna sound crazy, but before the fight, I had Ryan winning. Before the
Did
fight,
you?
Whoa! First of all,
Why?
talk about that.
I had Ryan winning before the fight. I don't know. I just felt he was training. I know people who were in camp with him that were, you know what I mean? So I know he was training. I know he was working. And I thought the styles of what was going to happen that night, him knowing that he was going to have Devin come and fight him, that would set Devin up maybe for a big shot, which it did. He had Devin at one point walking him instead of Devin always being the boxer. So I thought that was a great game plan on his part and Derek James's part.
Is the biggest reason why he won because of Ryan's skill or because Haney has defensive issues?
No, I wouldn't say it's Devin's defensive issues. I mean, Devin's had great defense in all of his other fights, you know what I mean? And it could have just been, it was still a close fight, I thought. It was still a close fight. I did think
I scored it even. People want to kill me.
it was still a close fight, but do I think that the fight, I thought the referee was a little, there were some things going on.
Not his Harvey Doc. Not his best day.
Other nights, I know Harvey Doc personally. He's a great referee.
Yes,
so
I agree.
maybe just not one of his, it wasn't his best night, just like maybe it wasn't Devin's best night. Everybody's got a night like that. And obviously at 3 pounds, now you're getting maybe the positive for that, so we'll see what happens.
What do you make of Ryan's mental warfare in the build to that fight? Was it all a troll job to you? Was it an expert troll job in your opinion, or did we see some of his real ups and downs spill over too? It's hard to gauge at this point.
Yeah, I mean, he said that he was drinking throughout camp, and he also admitted that he has a lot of things going on in his life, so you don't know. Obviously, he fooled Vegas, he fooled a lot of people around the world. Fooled the A, you know what I mean? So, but he showed up on fight night ready to go. And he did his job under the whatever he had in this, whatever happened. He did what he was supposed to do. But I don't condone the dirty fighting, the dirty popping, positive. Like I want to keep boxing clean. Guys go in there, they put their life on the line every time. So.
Sure.
All right. To what extent has any opponent tried to DM you shit talk or in your face, really try to do something extra?
To be honest, it really hasn't happened to me. Like a lot of guys because I think it's more of. I'm not that kind of guy in the sense that, you know what I mean? I don't bring off that energy. And the guy I'm fighting this Saturday, Ronald Cruz, I actually know him personally when I was living in LA with Joe Goosen, training with Joe Goosen. He was always in the gym sparring, so we know each other. It's been a little while, so I got a little taller. But it's going to be exciting. I'm excited. It's going to be a good fight.
What are your... So what is it? It is now currently May the 2nd. If I spoke to you on May the 2nd, 2025, what will have happened since that time in your career? Yeah,
we'll see where I'm at in terms of growth, where I'm at in terms of the level of fights that I'm fighting in, but every fight I'm taking as championship level fight. I believe this is a step up in competition. He's been in there with a lot of great guys, went the distance with a lot of good guys. But I just want to continue to grow, continue to stay busy, continue to stay active, and I think that's important for the growth of a young fighter.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And like I said, these feature prelims, your fight against Ronald Cruz, will not only be on Prime Video, also on DraftKings Network, our partner as well.
Right.
You can catch those live prelims as well. So what do you want to see out of yourself on Saturday night? You want to get the W, and it is a step up, and you did recognize that. This guy's a veteran. He's been in there. But are you looking to show a certain part of your game? Are you looking to go a certain number of rounds? What is your goal in this fight?
Yeah, never want to go. If I could get a guy out of there in the first, I believe get him out of there in the first. Never.
You were doing a lot more of that.
Yeah, so we'll see. But I just want to continue to grow. I know what we've been working on in the ring, in the gym, and I want to showcase that in the ring. I won't give it all, tell you guys what we've been doing, but just tune in and you'll see.
Have you actually, without telling us exactly what it is, to what extent do you break up your training by I have to do on this for this opponent, or here's something in the bigger picture I just want to work on in my game, and I want to work on that no matter what opponent comes to me? How do you actually break up your training, not just day by day, but over 6 months, over a year?
Yeah, I'd say so. When I break down film, I break down what the guy does really well, and I break down some things that I see that there's some openings. But I also believe that guys fight every opponent differently. So I could watch one fight, like I watched his fight versus Xander Zayas, and Xander's a completely different fighter than I am. So his style is going to be completely different against me, I believe. So you just have to break down some things, some flaws that you see in his game, but things that he also does really well. And then more or less just working on yourself, not worrying more about what he does, just do what you do.
Do you watch tape on yourself?
I
not
do.
So much what happened in a fight, but what am I doing well? What am I doing wrong?
No, definitely. For me, I look at what I'm doing wrong. I want to correct the things that I'm doing wrong, and I have a great team around me who aren't yes men, who let me know you're doing this wrong, you can't do this, you can't do that, and I think that's another important aspect of a growth of a young fighter.
All right, I got a couple before we let you go. You're a busy kid here, and you got a big fight coming up. I'm excited about this one. You know, you're living the dream at 21. You've had a loss in the ring and bounced back beautifully and put it together. We are not seeing you showing up in the police blotter. How do you juggle the stresses of the excess of this life, of the fact that you can walk into any club and be like, I'm a fucking pro
White
boxer
Magic's
up in
here.
this. White
I'll tell you
Magic
right
is
now.
here, so get your ladies lined up, whatever you're into. Get it lined up for me. How do you avoid showing up in our police blotter?
Yeah, I've always been I've always been a homebody. I don't like going out. It's never been my scenery. I'll tell you right now, I've been to one club my entire life.
Okay.
Was it any good?
Wasn't I stayed there for like 45 minutes. If a club tells me, look, we'll pay you this amount of money, you come show up, I'll come show my face, you know what I mean?
That's the Paulie Malignaggi bit. You just show up to get the money and then roll.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really my scenery. I like staying home. I like being with my family. I'm away from my family most of the time, and I have a great relationship with everybody. My little brother, my 2 sisters, my mother, my dog. So
that mindset will take you far, young man.
But hold on. So if you
keep on.
Yeah, wait. So assuming you win, what's the after party plan? What is the Vito Mielnicki party?
I'm taking a red eye home to Jersey. I haven't been home in 2 months.
Wow.
And Sunday, my mom's gonna make our Sunday gravy.
Oh yeah.
That's a celebration.
Which for people who don't know is a red sauce.
Yeah, red sauce.
Yeah, but it's a Jersey thing.
All right,
it's a
final
Jersey
question
thing.
here. Vito Mielnicki Jr. Canelo versus Munguia. People are talking about Oscar versus Canelo. They're talking about all these other things. Benavidez. They're not talking about the fact that this fight's gonna bang.
Yeah.
How live of a dog is Jaime Munguia against this version of Canelo?
Jaime Munguia is a young, electric, just exciting guy. I think. Who knows? Canelo's obviously. How old's Canelo now?
33.
33. We'll see. I have Canelo winning, but I think it's going to be an exciting fight. I'm not counting Jaime Munguia out. He only knows how to win, right? He's undefeated.
43-0.
Yeah, I mean, he only knows how to win. So a guy like that, you can never count out. But we'll see what happens. I think Canelo's offensive arsenal might be too much with some of the defensive openings of Jaime Munguia. But we'll see. Jaime Munguia is a great fighter, and he's coming to win. He's coming to take what maybe he's looked up to Canelo. He's a young guy, and to be in the ring with a guy like Canelo is a blessing in itself, but he's coming to win. He's coming to take what's his.
Oh shit! What if I get like white magic tattooed right here, and every time Vito wins, I'll just come up flexing on the show. All right?
I'm going to call the racism police on you.
Okay,
Vito, always great catching up with you. Can't wait to see your fight on Saturday, and hopefully many Saturdays in 2024.
Absolutely, always. Thank you guys.
There he is, Vito
Good
Mielnicki.
stuff.
Thank you so much,
Kicking
my
off
friend.
Thank you.
the
All right.
BBC card Saturday night live on Prime Video, live on the DraftKings network against Ronald Cruz. By the way, that 2-fight card that they're setting the stage with, it's going to be good. We get Jesus Ramos Jr. in that featured
He's
fight.
a hammer.
He's going to be going there against Johan Gonzalez. So good 2 fights to wet the palate Saturday. And then when we hit that pay-per-view card, DAZN, by the way, has a big presence here because this is going to be produced by Amazon Prime Video.
Yes.
But DAZN is sort of the network of records, so we see
That's right. They have
their
a lot of
talent all over. And
Ariel's here. There's Ariel Helwani.
Ariel Helwani, Combat Sports Superstars in
I'm
the
not
building.
sure if there's anyone else that we know from MMA Media here, but in any case, we do have to let the folks know about something, BC.
Yes, we have great partners.
We have great partners here, DraftKings. They have been fantastic to us since the instant we started working with them. And of course, as a reminder, before I even do this read, we love DraftKings, and you can catch us on the DraftKings Network every Monday at 5 p.m. in the East. So it's not just here, which we love having you here, but if you missed it, you can catch.
And you can cash us outside. How about
catch us? You can catch these hands outside.
That's it.
Motherfucker, how about that? Well, let's talk about this. We have an opportunity for you. New customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. BC, here's what they're going to do. They're going to download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today, and they're going to use the promo code MK, the letter M and the letter K, when they're signing up. And as I mentioned, bet $5 on this fight, and you could get $200 in bonus bets like that.
I mean, what could you do with $200 in bonus bets? You know what I'm saying? NBA playoffs are heating up right now. UFC 301 this weekend. So much to watch. Why don't you put a little skin in that game with our partners over there at DraftKings? And Luke, if sports betting is not yet available in your state, by the way, do not worry, because you can still join in on the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy Sports. So download that DraftKings app today. Do not forget our promo code for first-time customers of MK. $200 in bonus bets for $5 spent.
That's one haircut in New York City.
That is fantastic. There
Hey,
you
why
go.
was Connecticut on fire today?
Oh, there was a tanker fire on 95 down in Norwalk, but that's regional news here. This is a national, if not global, story here, Luke. Canelo versus Munguia. But I got to ask you straight up, as we're going to continue to get great guests flowing in and out of here. This fight week already been dominated by Ryan Garcia's next chapter of, I don't know, absurdity, whatever you want to call it. I mean, he is, by the way, hardcore denying. And then you got what happened at Wednesday's press conference, which you were at, by the way.
Yeah.
when Oscar came out throwing darts at Canelo, because remember, Oscar De La Hoya used to promote Canelo Alvarez for almost ever.
They had a big
a
split.
divorce in 2020. This is the first time Oscar's in the other corner, as he's the co-promoter along with Zanfer Promotions of Jaime Munguia. Oscar was talking about Canelo failing drug tests against Triple G. Canelo, we built you as a star, doing the old Vince McMahon against Hulk Hogan bit. We built you, not the other way around.
Right.
Were you surprised?
And then put some effing respect on my name.
Were you surprised when Canelo, who's normally mild-mannered professional, like all about that life, right? He was not only firing insults in Spanish, and if you see the translation, they were personal. He accused Oscar of stealing money, and then he charged him, dude. What was that like in the moment? Did you think Canelo was going to get up on that ass?
I actually wasn't paying too much attention to it because I was typing like this when I heard him talking. I was trying to tweet it out. And then I heard him curse and say, put some effing respect on my name. And then I heard the crowd kind of go, woo. And then I hear Canelo stand and go at him. And I'm like, dude, whoa, this is weird. I mean, not to say I didn't know where it was coming from, but I just, of all the things I thought we were going to get on Fight Week, I just had not mentally placed it that high on the priority list. And people have asked me, I think quite rightly, listen, Canelo's a pro. He's been doing this a very, very long time. Everyone's here to see him. But beefing with Oscar, I don't know what it will do for him, but it is at least worth asking to what extent it is a distraction. Because Jaime Munguia was sitting there just like chilling.
Just
and Canelo's even referencing him like an abused child.
Yeah, I mean, Canelo respects Jaime. Huh?
Yes.
That's why he picked him for this fight. He knows this is going to be
shit talk.
Not only a fantastic event for Mexican boxing and the Great Heritage Cinco de Mayo weekend, but a great fight. But
first of all, it electrified what was an otherwise fairly, straightforward, otherwise kind of dull pressers.
All boxing press conferences.
That's fine. That's what they are. That's okay. That charged it up. And then when Oscar got off stage, dude, there were, I call them minnows. You ever seen like a lamprey, like when a shark is swimming and those little things?
Yes.
So here comes De La Hoya off the side of the dais, and then walks through, and then all these guys. Hey, Ariel's giving us the finger.
Could you sit down, sir, over here for just a minute? Oh boy, we're trying to
I
get
don't have
Ariel
any cash,
Helwani
but nice
on
to see you as
camera.
well, Ariel.
He's flipping us off. He won't sit down. I think we'd have to pay. We have to pay you for an interview.
Wait,
That's
what's
where
on the
we're
jacket?
Just come on.
Show us the jacket.
There we go. We
All right,
got
just
him
a little
in.
bit. I mean, is it that hard?
Maybe he's shameless enough. We might as well get him in here. There we
was
go.
that a Roots of Fight one or no?
That is a badass jacket
Am I on
right
camera
there.
right now?
Yeah.
Rey
Okay.
Mysterio.
I actually didn't want to jump into your
Yeah,
thing,
it's all right.
but
You can
since
also-
you guys are
you don't
struggling
mind.
for
Nice to see you.
guests,
How
I'll
are
be
you?
here. Yeah,
Hey,
good to be here,
dude,
guys.
Congratulations on the work you've been doing on DAZN.
Oh,
And
thanks.
really the work you've been doing in the sport. I mean, you jumped right in, and you're a
You
factor.
guys blazed the trail.
Are you talking about all
the
the
pro
smoke?
wrestling
Yeah,
guy
like
and
flamed
the
out a little
MMA
bit.
guy.
We're trying to put the thing
No,
back
you guys are
together.
back. You're back in a big way.
We are. We're a little bit. Well, here we are. This is live, so we're doing it.
This is huge.
Yeah.
This is live right now. You got a 4-camera setup. We got
How many-
Esther Lynn here. I mean,
Oh,
it's
there's
like
Esther. Hey,
wow.
it's a little
It's-
MMA fight.
it's a
Yes,
reunion
yes,
here.
This is great.
Showtime reunion too. On top of that.
Yeah, Steven Espinoza over
okay,
there.
let's get a reaction.
We
to
love
Ryan
to say
Garcia
that.
news. What do you got?
There's something weird about news of that magnitude being talked about in this room. I always go back to John Jones sitting at the dais over there.
remember
Oh,
that.
yeah, it was
I
right
remember
there,
that
yeah.
day, Yes.
His publicist Denise White
fixer,
walking up,
the
and
fixer,
saying
yeah.
like, "You know who I am," and Malky being up there. So it's weird deja vu because it's such gigantic news.
Yeah.
In any event, Austrian, obviously in MMA, we know all about it. Sean O'Malley, Daniel Rodriguez
Tom
recently, Tom Lawler, that was a big one. The big one that I feel like no one's talking about is the Nandro, which hasn't been confirmed
I've
yet.
been talking,
right?
Dude, they're,
That's an
they're just
anabolic
waiting
steroid.
on the isotope
Yes.
ratio or mass spectrometry
Yeah.
to see if it's legit. But if it is, dude, that's an anabolic steroid,
That's
pharmacy
gigantic.
grade compound.
Yes, that's gigantic. And so if it's Austrian on the 19th and 20th, the day before the fight, the day of the fight, and the anabolic steroid Nandro, that's a big freaking deal.
I mean, do you believe Ryan when he said Diddy planted this?
So anyway, so first time offense,
I like
New
the way
York,
you work, dude.
New York.
They don't fuck around either. They're hard asses.
You know how they are. Like, they are hard asses. So, look, it'll probably be turned into a no contest if they deem. And people are holding out hope with this B sample. But as you guys know, the B sample is
Yes.
always
If you've been watching MMA long
Yeah.
enough, that B sample is
nothing.
never
a
exonerating.
true formality.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's a big deal. I hate to say this because it is boxing and people die in boxing, and it's crazy to fight with. I know your stance on PEDs, and I understand where you're coming from.
Well, if you sign a contract to not take them,
Yeah.
you should not take them.
Yeah, you're in
the
breach
only
of
thing I was going to
contract.
say was
the rematch is going to be freaking gigantic. It was
Gigantic.
always going to be gigantic after what transpired on April 20th in New York.
True.
But it is going to be so freaking big with Bill Haney and Devin Haney feeling like they were wrong on the scales and, in the lab.
That woke up a new boxing audience. It woke up, whether it's the MMA guys that are casuals, whatever, Ryan's
kids
lightning rod style brought in everybody. So you were on the front lines, meaning when Ryan did the bit with the fake beer bottle on the, you were the one that interviewed him. We are all in that moment going, he has completely lost his mind. I'm not even sure this fight should be legalized. Was there ever a point where you were like, maybe he's trolling us? Like, how did you in that moment react to that?
First of all, when he walked up, as he was about to walk up, he said, Ariel, this is apple juice. There's levels to this game. And I was like, all right, fine, cool, fair play.
Kayfabe only, right? Yeah.
Exactly. I've seen some of his stuff afterwards. I saw that interview that he did with Patrick Bet-David where he said, like, this was all a troll job and I had it all mapped out, blah, 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 blah. With all due respect, I don't believe that. Like, you can be crazy or act crazy and still be a great boxer.
Sure.
Just because you're a great boxer doesn't mean you're not crazy, and just because you're crazy doesn't mean you can't be a great boxer. And so this whole thing that like, oh, he won, that was all a troll. No, I do think that all of that was legit. I do think that all of that was real. I do think that it's okay to criticize all of that. But yes, on the night he was the better fighter. Now, of course, all of this gets called into question because of these tests. I'm not buying the troll job thing.
Yeah.
Like Mike Tyson was a super crazy guy, and he beat people up. You know what I mean? And so just because he won, it doesn't mean that it erases everything that happened leading up to it.
To what extent was he like just turning the volume up a little bit?
That's possible. I mean, we've seen that in all forms of combat sports, and he's changed a lot. There's no doubt about that. And maybe he's now showing us for the first time who he is. Maybe he's now more comfortable because, he was like this almost PR, perfect little vessel, Instagram model
You've known
guy.
him for some time. I interviewed him before the Tank fight, and he's just a different guy.
Yeah,
right?
no. The Tank fight really is the turning point, right?
Okay.
Everything since that feels a little bit different. Even that press conference before the Duarte fight in December in Houston, that was a little bit crazy. And then, of course, this one was even
Isn't
crazier.
It crazy?
So
Oscar was in Duarte's locker room before that fight because Ryan kicked him out of his. Oscar's openly
God,
cheering
I
for
forgot
Duarte to
about
win.
that.
And
that
now
was
Oscar's like the voice of reason on Ryan's shoulder. It's like boxing
Wow, I forgot about that.
changes from day to day.
He posted something on his Instagram that night before the Duarte fight. He's like, he won't let me into his locker, all that. Remember?
Yes.
Like, this felt like, Luke will pretend not to know this reference, but he actually knows it better than all of us. This felt like Stone Cold Steve Austin, Vince McMahon, circa 1999, right?
Who?
It felt like the employer and employee.
I know who
now,
they are.
Now he's going to break down. He's going to break down Halloween Havoc '97, even though he doesn't.
Yes.
He claims to
Let's
not be a
get a
wrestling
Finger
fan,
Poke
but
and
he
Doom
is the
reference in
biggest
here somewhere.
closet wrestling fan there is. And then
I can't
we
wait
get
till
to
MMA Guru outs you on YouTube for being
It's
a closet
inevitable,
wrestling
inevitable.
fan.
and then we get to Brooklyn, and Oscar is tying his shoelaces at the open workouts.
Yeah.
Remember that? Like, how did this happen in the span of 4 months, where Oscar and Ryan are now BFF? The one that I think needs to be repaired is Ryan and Bernard. But let's be honest, like, we all love this stuff.
think
Like, look
they've
at
repaired
yesterday.
that, though.
Are they
They
as
hugged
close?
and
It felt a little bit frosty. Look at yesterday. Yesterday was incredible theater.
Dude,
that
that
was-
was.
It was amazing.
People are like, man, Oscar's so out of line. I'm like, no, Oscar's
that's promotion.
This is what Oscar's still brilliant about. How to
Yes,
sell fights. You know what I
promotion.
And
mean?
also, like, too, like, for the only thing MMA related that I can think was even close was King Mo versus Bjorn Rebney,
Oh my, yeah.
or Tito versus Dana, but neither of those got like that, where the fighter was charging.
Oh my God.
Well, now ex-promoter, but the promoter on stage. Dude, boxing is like a fucking free-for-all relative to MMA.
Once again, this is why I'm in it. This is why I love it. Okay. You know
No,
what I mean?
but
This is-
honestly, it's why I really enjoy covering it as well. There's something very, for lack of a better word, no, in MMA is very cookie cutter, and I'm not trying to be a hater right now. Like, what the UFC is built, I watch these press conferences, like I just watched that undercard press conference like you guys, and I'm like, how do you not watch a UFC press conference and say, let's just copy that?
Right.
Walk up there, who's got the first question, bring fans in, let the fighters answer questions from press? How about press asking questions at a press conference? What a novel idea. This whole thing where there's one guy up there asking everyone the same question 10
Well,
times.
at least they've changed. They used to bring up the MGM beverage distributor
yes.
and have him come up and
But
say
they,
a few
they
words.
need
you
to
know?
fix this. They need
Yeah.
to fix this. And so there is part of me that wishes that they could learn from MMA to that regard. But as far as covering boxing, there's so many characters, from the promoters to the managers to the trainers to the network executives, that we just don't have at our disposal in MMA, right? Like, it's just so loosey-goosey to the point where it makes it fun.
Yeah.
I do wish that they would clean up some of this stuff here.
It's like when you go to like your regional roller coaster park by the lake, and you know that the screws are probably loose on like the big hill,
Yeah,
but
something
you know
like
it's like
that.
tradition. You love it. You know, it's exactly like that. Like, you know.
I hate your life.
Yeah,
It's so not
I
interesting.
don't
to me.
That's like the one
Your
next
life.
to Bristol. What's that one next to Bristol that everyone goes to? That theme
Lake
park.
Compounce, right across the street
That's
from.
the one.
Yeah,
Yes,
oh, yeah,
that's the
yeah.
one.
That was
You've
where
been to
Millie
this shit?
I've
Vanilli
been to
had
it
their
once.
moment.
I've been to it once, and I was a little bit nervous.
Oh yeah,
on
former
that.
ESPN employee.
Exactly.
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
Oh shit. Okay. It's close
It
to
was
the
like this
Stanford
little.
campus.
It was like this little place that everyone talked about,
Yes.
right next to
ESPN
Bristol,
rents out the whole park
in the
for
middle of
day, bring your
nowhere,
family,
and
yeah.
it becomes like a little fantasy.
People
camp.
get hammered for free there. Hammered.
I got just one or two more.
Sure.
Very quickly. Here's one thing I've always said about coming to boxing events. Like, dude, don't get me wrong. There's beefs. People are jockeying for position in this industry at all times.
Okay.
Don't you feel like when you come to a boxing event that people are much more excited about seeing each other than when you go to an MMA event where everyone is like bitter and angry at each
Are you
other?
talking about media?
Media, but not just that. I just feel like, I mean, the fans are always nice. MMA fans that I meet in the wild are always quite nice.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's always tension whenever I show up to events in MMA. Do you feel that?
Not necessarily.
No?
I understand what you're saying. I do think it's interesting. There's a lot more media with the iPhones and all that stuff here as
Yeah.
opposed to in MMA.
Sure.
I feel like the MMA media has maybe evolved a little bit more, a little
Equipment
quicker.
wise, but they're all playing. A lot of them are all playing characters though, which is another side
To a
of it.
degree. I mean, I could distinguish. I will say this. I think MMA media, pound for pound, for lack of a better phrase, is a little deeper than boxing media in terms of like the talent. Like
The training, all that. Boxing's still a guerrilla, loose. Get your camera up in front.
feels
yeah.
a lot. It feels a lot like 2007 Sherdog era,
Yes,
where it was
yes.
guys with camcorders, except now they're with iPhones. Answer me this: like, who's the Chuck Mindenhall in boxing? Who's the Ben Folks in boxing?
I mean, they've
Who's
got
the
good
Shaheen
writers.
Al-Shadi?
That's what you mean. They just don't
Like-
have a lot of active work. You know?
Yeah.
To
There's
that
just-
level.
I mean, there's good feature writers for sure.
They're not working in boxing anymore.
I-
though.
I'm
That's
really-
the thing,
That's the
you know?
issue, yeah.
This is a weird thing to say because it's like, who am I to say it? But I'm very proud of MMA media. Like, I think that sometimes people like to say the thing, oh, they're characters, but like, don't base MMA media just on the people who show up to those UFC press conferences. MMA media has come a long way.
Right.
And, I talk about like that MMA fighting team, 2017, 2016, we were the Golden State Warriors. Like, that was I really do think so. I'm very proud of that.
Yes, I agree
and I
with
think
that.
it was it's a very talented media corps, and yes, it's evolved, and some people aren't doing as much, and there aren't as many opportunities, et cetera, but I really think that MMA media gets a bad rap, and I think for the most part, as far as media corps go, it's a very talented and diverse crew.
All right, final question from me, Ariel, because you're a very busy man.
Yes,
like actually,
extremely.
like you're on every network every
I
day.
have literally nothing to do.
Our fans hit us with this all the time because it was so beloved, and I had a cup of coffee on it. But will you ever see another MMA beat or something like that?
Oh, yeah.
Because the MMA space,
We do get that a
which
lot.
populate our show, they populate your show.
I still
they
get
want
DMs
that
about it.
badly.
But you were kind of like the fake Diesel, fake Razor Ramon.
I definitely came in there with an artificial over
Yeah,
the top.
'cause it was
like,
the post-
it's
Right.
we're rearranging the deck chairs on the
I
Titanic.
mean, you guys even
so why
had, I
don't we
think,
just
Brian
start?
Kelleher on a couple times, and I was like, wait a second.
Dude,
He's
we
not
were
part of the MMA media
Let me
beat.
let me just tell you, at that stage of the show, I was doing whatever we could to hang on.
Yeah, no.
It was not easy. Let me tell you.
It was a great time. I always say, I actually talk about this with Chuck a lot. The post-show lunches were,
Those were
to
the
me,
best.
were almost as fun, if not more fun, than the shows, because that's when we really talked
Yeah,
about.
Wagenheim would spark up. It was
Yeah,
great.
wow, Wags. I miss Wags. I haven't seen him in quite some time. I remember one time we were eating, and I found out that my wife was going into labor, and I had to jet. I did take my food to go, if you recall. But yeah, no, that would be great, and I think it would be an amazing thing to bring back. I do a show on The Ringer with Pete and Chuck,
Yes, Sure. very
which
good
sort of
show, yes.
feels like the closest thing that I have to it in my life, and you guys are doing a similar version. You have Chuck, and sometimes you give Chuck some shit, like, whose side are you on, Chuck? Like, what's going on? Is Chuck a part of the new era, too? I saw him in studio one time.
He's a whore. I mean,
Yeah.
you throw him a check, he'll show up.
Oh, you
know.
guys pay him for that?
I don't pay him shit.
I
Okay.
can't release those details, but I do say.
DraftKings might.
Have you ever seen him with his head off? He looks like
Darth Vader when they take
in
the mask off.
It is
in
weird.
episode 6 when they take when he's
It is
dying.
weird.
Yeah, it's
now,
interesting.
will you guys go to that studio 3 times a week?
No. So we're only doing Mondays out of there.
Okay.
And we're only doing Mondays at all, but we might start doing Mondays and Fridays.
Fridays would probably be
It's
from
a
home.
long isn't that like 4 hours?
Buddy, you should see how many train
I've been
miles I
telling
have.
him he
Yeah, I
should
can
just
imagine.
I have
pack
more
his
train
beautiful
miles
family
than
and move
anyone
them
else you
toward the New York City,
Would you consider doing that?
to the New Jersey, to the
Listen,
Connecticut
DraftKings,
suburbs.
you come correct with
Yeah,
the
that's
offer.
right,
We can
that's right.
talk about it. You know what I'm saying?
And also, I don't know if I'm peeling back, but aren't you working with the great Ant Evans a little bit?
A little bit, yeah. He's helping me on my YouTube, yeah.
What a guy. I love Ant. I wish I could block him on Twitter and not see his horrendous, insane takes.
I both love Ant
Yes.
and then also wish to block him on social media.
1,000%. I will send him stuff constantly. Why can't you just be normal? Why are you such... You know who Ant is, Brian?
I do know who he is.
Formerly
yes,
a
yes.
PR
He's
guy for
insane.
UFC.
He wrote
then
the Bisping
he did Fight
book, which I
Pass,
enjoyed.
He did the Bisping
Yes.
book. He
He's
did
absolutely insane.
Hall of
He's
Fame.
become like a combat YouTube guru now. He's working with Eric Bischoff.
Would you say he's the British front row Brian?
What does that even mean?
I don't know.
You're just saying words?
No, you pull for things in your brain,
Yeah.
and when you release them, they feel good, and then you see the reaction on
Yeah,
people's
no.
faces.
Yeah, you
I
need
mean,
an
there's been a
editor.
couple. There's been a couple of whiffs in this particular
Well,
spot.
the thing is, though, it's the percentage overall, right? It's
Are you
more-
still big on the Reddit page? Because I've heard no references in this.
Actually, the
spot to
Reddit
them.
page is not actually up to speed on what I've been giving them on not only
They're
Morning
not
Kombat,
showing
but
you love.
other,
It's been more
other
concerted and they
channels,
don't know it?
Other shows. I mean, I dropped a beauty on that. What's that show on your company that Mike Heck does, Between the Bell or something?
No, between the links.
With Jed Meshew, that
Yes.
absolute dirthole who's hilarious, by the way. Yeah, people. But no, sometimes, because here's the thing I found
Jed
out.
Meshew looks like he would vape at a funeral.
He wow. He'd take a phone call in the wake line.
Oh, I
There's
have
no
a
doubt
question.
about it.
How was the media tour? I can't believe they made it 4 stops. Are you allowed to talk about this?
Oh, the fucking...
I-
Oh, dude.
I did not
I
sign an
know
NDA.
all the
I did
stories.
not.
Well, you
really?
were there, though.
I went to just the first stop because I was there for 300.
Vegas one.
Yeah, I didn't go to the other ones.
When we do a Patreon offline show and we can really rank the
I'd love
strawweights
to
in the
hear
right
it.
pound for pound order, then
I set the line at half a stop. I'm shocked that they made it to the 4th stop.
I watched all 4.
I
watched
hosted all 4.
Yeah, I can't imagine what that was like.
You know what? The Miami one was the 3rd one.
Yeah.
Third one.
Yes.
It could have worked really well, but Nate was late. From what I could tell, David Benavidez was there, but then left before it started.
He walked
wow.
off, and then also Jorge was going to come in on this
On
giant
his
yacht,
boat.
and the
He
police,
was supposed to come in on the
police
boat, and
wouldn't
then the boat
let
said
him
no.
enter, and-
Oh.
So it actually had a couple of and plus the crowd was super sized for him. So it actually had a moment, but the last stop, they should have cut.
It just
they should have
felt like
cut
a
it there.
little too much,
Yeah.
right? Well, which was the best stop?
New York, because it was Nate's birthday, and it was the only stop in which he played along with the crowd.
Yeah.
They were throwing up
They threw
joints. He
him
would
the
catch
joints.
them and light them
Oh,
up. and
yeah.
stuff.
That was sick. That was sick.
So, all right,
All right.
tell the folks what you're doing for DAZN.
Okay, I am here for DAZN. The great people over at DAZN have been really, really kind to me, and so we just did our little undercard presser show. Tomorrow weigh-ins, and then Saturday I'll be a part of the coverage. So for those that may be a little bit confused, obviously Prime has it in America, the rights to this fight, but then internationally DAZN has it.
Got it.
So yes, I too am a little bit confused, but I will be there, and I'm looking forward to it. And our show's back on Monday. We took a 2-week break, which was really good for the
Yes,
soul.
yes.
I felt really good about
You
that.
gonna have Ryan on?
Big Brian Garcia.
Yeah.
Would like to have him on. Are you booking him for us?
No.
Okay.
I was just
I would
curious.
love to. He's hard to get these days, but yeah, would love to have him on.
I mean, you once FaceTimed him on a live show.
Yeah, that was
Showtime stream
fun.
with
That was
me.
fun.
Yeah,
Yes. I think he's changed his number since then, but
Or maybe just
or maybe he's
blocked
just
you.
not
Yeah,
answering my
yeah,
text. Ryan, give me a call or text.
Yes,
Stop leaving me on
yes.
scene. No, but you guys are doing great stuff, and I'm just happy for everyone who's getting to work and
It's a
getting to
changing
do
Would,
time.
would you
like
rather
this. Yeah.
drive across country in the passenger seat with Dana driving or Jamal Hill?
You're just trying. It's like you're
Look,
just trying
you
for
know,
that
when
moment.
that time I was on the Shop Show, they edited out my Eskimo
He does
Brothers
this.
joke. You know what I mean? They
he
edited
does
it
this
out.
to me
Come on.
every fucking broadcast.
Every
Come
time
on.
he's
Every
just trying for
fucking
something. I can't wait. I love that Jamal Hill Khalil Roundtree fight.
Yeah.
But
I'm
not
sorry
as the
for it, too.
co-main at IFW. Get the frick out of here.
By the way, look at every Conor fight of the last
I
3,
did
4
actually,
It's
and they're
all-
way better. The cards top to bottom, even though they are watered down because of Conor star power. I get the theory.
Nah.
Look them up one by one, and you will change
Connor
your view.
Cerrone. I don't even remember what the.
There were better fights
What
up
was
and
the
down.
co-main for that?
I
Connor
don't know.
Cerrone.
I couldn't tell you.
Connor Poirier.
There,
2
Holly
and
Holm
3.
versus something.
Stop it.
And,
You knew that there was not going to be another title fight, and you knew they weren't going to stack the deck. And they don't need to.
It's the ticket prices, though. Even by Connor standards, they've gone up.
Oh yeah. And
So
the gates,
people are
yeah.
bitter about the prices. What can you do? I don't
They're
know.
on fire. Same with WWE.
Yeah.
There it is.
All right. Well, thanks for
Hey,
coming.
thank you
through.
for joining.
Yes.
Hey,
I think-
wait, is there a game today?
Yes.
I think
I'm
you just
so
raised
nervous.
the rent.
I am
Wait,
literally
didn't Josh
shitting in
Harris,
my
who's
pants.
now the owner of the Commanders, buy 2,000 tickets at the Garden
And
to fill
David
it with
Rubin.
first responders and shit?
No. This is the story. The story is they were so embarrassed by the Knicks fans invading Wells Fargo Center for Game 4.
Okay.
They were so embarrassed that Harris and Michael Rubin
Right.
bought 2,000 tickets and gave them out for free to the pathetic Sixer fans so that Knicks fans don't buy the tickets, so that Sixers fans show up to Wells Fargo, to their own arena, not to the Garden, to their own arena.
No, but I think it's first responders and like ambulances.
No. They're trying to spin this because they were so embarrassed that Knicks fans invaded and were louder and were booing Joel Embiid, that bum, that lowlife.
Wow.
Joel Embiid, who should have been suspended.
I'm going to trust the process.
I do like Joel Embiid, but he does annoy me.
He annoys me. By the way, Team USA should boot him from the team. Why should he be? Look what he did to Mitchell Robinson. He pulled him by the leg. One of the dirtiest players I've ever seen. We're closing it out tonight. We gave him a gift on Tuesday. We'll be all right.
Knicks fans are incredibly annoying. However, I saw a European guy make this point, and he's right. Knicks fans are the closest thing that America has
fans, I saw
to football
that.
fans. Yeah. It's true.
Come on, we've suffered enough.
It's true.
We've suffered enough.
Fair point.
51 years since our last championship.
Never
that
forget
was a great
Starks.
time.
They're looking great.
For 18
They're looking great.
Well, why do you have to bring that up? How about Starks, Ewing, Spree, Mello, all in the front row together? That scene on Tuesday was amazing. Then we'll beat the Pacers, then we'll beat the Celtics, and we'll meet the Nuggets in the finals.
Last question for me. I promise the last one.
No problem.
Would you rather be me with the Wizards? You're the worst team in the league, but you got rid of Bradley Beal.
Yeah.
Or would you rather be Sean Al-Shadi, who now is fucked until 2030
and
at
not only
least?
that, the Durant contract isn't great. Now we're hearing that
Beal's owed what, 160 mil?
That's a horrible contract. And Booker apparently wants out, wants to come to New York. We'll see what that all means. You guys are okay. It's just like you've got nothing.
Yeah, there's nothing. I mean, Kuzma, that's it.
I mean,
you got Kuz.
You don't build. But Denny's awesome. You only have up. I think getting rid of that contract was huge for you guys.
Massive.
Huge for you guys. But yeah, you guys suck, and you're not doing anything for the foreseeable future. Go Knicks. It's going to be great. I don't know why they're playing at 9 o'clock Eastern. What the hell's up with that?
I don't give a fuck. I'm on the West Coast this time.
Fair enough. I'm shitting in my pants.
Are you staying for the fight, Ariel?
Nervous.
He said he was going to be.
No, I can't be bothered. I'm out tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Oh, you are?
Well,
no, I'm
safe
kidding.
travel.
I'll be there Saturday.
All right, there it is.
All right, Ariel, thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you for joining us.
There he is.
Shout out to Roots of Fight.
619. What was his greatest match, Luke? Tell us.
I
Tell
have
him about
no fucking idea.
Halloween
I do know his
97.
special move.
What is it called?
Okay.
Just said it.
Hurricane Rana?
That was back in the day. 619.
Oh, okay.
I like when Kevin Nash threw him into the trailer like a dart. That was great. Yeah, there you go.
Thanks,
all right,
guys.
hey,
Shout out.
Ariel Helwani stopping by.
All right.
As the Canelo versus Munguia radio
Corey's
room.
here.
Manich in the house.
He's the best, dude.
Malca veteran Manich on the ones and twos here today as well. Luke, the fighters will continue to flow through as we welcome
Who do we got here,
guests.
Munguia?
We have, by the way, Brandon Figueroa, the Heartbreaker, coming down the line. So hopefully we'll get him pretty soon.
Right.
And good for Ariel. It was good chatting with him again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, nice to see him.
Yeah. People think we're like hating this guy. Yo, there's room for Ariel on this train. All right.
It's just amazing that, like, I mean, I've never talked about it with him, but like MMA media, you realize like there's only a certain amount of jobs in the industry because everything is controlled. Whereas in boxing, it's still tough to get in, but everything is so much more wide open. So
disarray, disorganization.
But that creates opportunity.
It does.
It creates opportunity. So
they'll also break your heart. So be careful.
All right, are we going to watch this game he's talking about later? I kind of want to see it.
We have to record tonight. To keep people up on our schedule this week, tonight we will be recording a Room Service Diaries episode.
That's correct.
That will air on Sunday on the Morning Combat YouTube channel.
That should be correct as well, yes.
Tomorrow, Friday, at your old school Friday MK time, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, we'll be live from the SiriusXM studios at the Wynn, correct?
Formerly Blue Wire, but yes.
And we will be doing live Morning Combat, setting the stage for the weekend, put our picks out there in the world of boxing and MMA from UFC 301.
Let's remind them, morningcombat@gmail.com, morningcombat@gmail.com. We will do fan subs tomorrow as we get enough. We haven't even looked, or at least I haven't looked. Maybe the producers have. Send them in. If you got fan subs, old ones, even like, this is from a show you guys were doing back in December, fine. morningcombat@gmail.com. Get those in.
Yes. We see Martin Bader, translator to the stars.
Martin was having a tough day yesterday.
Oh, Martin, the last gaucho, Martin, yes. We'll be hearing from him soon. He'll be with Jaime Munguia shortly. And Luke, shout out once more to Anillos, which is, of course, the All the Smoke Mescal brand that is launching this weekend. So you can go to drinkanijos.com. That's A-N-I-L-L.
Anillos, not Anijos.
No. Anillos in South America. Anillos in Central. Luke. It's that Y.
I don't think it actually works that way, but
you know what I'm saying?
yes.
Yes. Have you ever worn a ring south of the border?
Have I ever worn a cock ring?
I wouldn't put it in those terms, you know what I'm saying? But if that's the kind of show you want. You know?
I've not. Okay. I don't know if I'm missing anything or not, but
yeah.
I just decided maybe it's not for me. I don't know.
Still to come, both Jaime Munguia and Canelo Alvarez stop at this table here. Shout out, of course, to our great partners, DraftKings, All the Smoke Productions. What do you think about being back with Munguia on the horse here?
Love it. Hey, by the way, Munguia, whoever is in charge of like the social clips for this, tell them to put the Ariel ones out. There's no need to not do it.
Yeah,
they can do it.
We share all our secrets publicly here. Get that shit out on the socials.
No, I'm saying
right,
they're only sharing a couple things, and I'm like, dude, we just talked to him for how long did we talk to Ariel for? Like 20 minutes? 15. Yeah, I mean, there's 15 minutes of content. Share it.
There it is. In your
all right,
face.
so there's Jaime Munguia. By the way, if we see Steven Espinosa, I would love to get him on.
Yes. Oh, yes.
There's Dan Canobio.
Dan Canobio of CompuBox.
Who I'm told is HIV positive. Is that true?
Wow. Wow.
Okay. I'm teasing.
We've just lost our sponsors.
I'm
That's
just
great.
teasing.
Yes,
I'm just teasing.
Yes.
Wait, are you? No, okay.
Shout out to Dan of Inside Boxing Live fame. Chris Algieri, his co-host, is going to be here as well this weekend. They're representing PPV.com. But interesting, you can buy the pay-per-view at PPV.com, DAZN pay-per-view, or Prime Video pay-per-view.
Here's what I don't understand. Who is PPV.com? Like, are they formerly?
Jim Lampley.
No. But is it like a telecom company?
I cannot answer that.
You don't know?
I cannot.
It's like, how did they have like randomly get all the pay-per-view rights?
I don't know.
I don't know the answer.
I don't know. Maybe.
But dude, I like what they, because here's the thing. Like, I've definitely been, don't tell the people at Showtime this, but sometimes I would get the pay-per-view on PPV.com.
Yeah. Now that Showtime's over, can we also talk about how we didn't like the app?
I hated the app.
Wait, they're still in our family. So
no, but this is gonna be sunset, so it doesn't matter. Right. The point I'm trying to make is, you couldn't toggle for shit.
You couldn't pause. When I'd take down the quotes during a live pay-per-view, you couldn't pause. And
with PPV.com, you've actually got, not that I'm here to shill for them, but they've actually got a much better, I was saying, like, I love the PPV.com interface. So say what?
Live chat.
Live chat as well.
Hey, do you want to do a shot of Anillos during our room service diaries?
I'll do one. Yeah, I'll do one.
Maybe we can commandeer a bottle from Munguia over there.
I also may or may not have gone to Medmin yesterday.
Without me?
Yes, without you.
I would have been your bodyguard there. I would have escorted you.
I didn't need any help.
All right.
Although, you know what's hilarious?
Did you see Bob Arum?
No. But the Uber driver dropped me off, and she was Russian. She's like, this is stop? And I'm like, yeah, it's my stop. She's like, no, this is stop, and then another stop, and then I was like, no. I was like, why are you asking me that? And basically what she told me was, the only time people go to Medmin is like, it's like one of those Uber rides where it's like Medmin, Taco Bell, CVS, back to the hotel. And I was
bail bondsman.
I was like, bail
just finish off the circuit.
First pawn shop, then weed store.
Yes. All right. I believe we have a series of guests that are forming in position, forming like packs out here.
We'll take Freddy.
We will. We would take Freddy Roach, the Hall of Fame trainer, of course, who's in the corner for his second fight with Jaime Munguia.
Yeah.
We saw a lot of changes in that first fight against John Ryder. We did, Luke. You got to say that. Yep. That was the best performance of young man's career.
For sure. And by the way, he had a tough, gritty win over Derevyanchenko as well.
Which is a fun rewatch, by the way.
Yes, but I mean,
both
those guys.
Called the shit out of that fight, okay? People don't realize how good Corey Erdman is on paper. And I don't want to say that because Todd Grisham is the main guy in DAZN. I'm a Todd Grisham day one guy.
Yeah.
But Erdman's got game.
I don't understand who boxing fans like. Every time I go on Reddit for boxing, they hate every single commentator that's ever commentated, except like super prime Jim Lampley.
I told you when I hosted PBC on Fox, face-to-face, the interview show, and they'd post they post the finished episodes on YouTube. Not one or two. Every single comment was, who the hell is this idiot white boy and why would they hire him to host the show? Like, not once or twice. It was just like a stream of it. It was great. It was like, all right, read the comments.
It's like, you suck and here's a hate crime.
Yeah, on top of that. Wow. What about me and this White Magic nickname? It just, you know what I mean? It just kind of...
I gotta tell you, that nickname makes me uncomfortable every time.
I can't take off the race element and just call myself Magic. It's taken. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also, like, you may catch. You may.
Like Dan.
Yeah. Wow. All right. What if maybe I'll just stick with Big Beige, the BBC, right? Big Beige Campbell.
There's Freddy.
All right, you just tuned me out here. We got Freddy Roach. We got a couple potential guests that might sit down. Hey, Corey, can we get a guest here? What's going on over there? Oh, he's working on it over there. He's working on it.
Yeah, we'll take Bob. Yep, bring him on over.
Oh yeah.
Just about. I mean, there might be one or two of these donks I'm going to tell them to go pound sand, but No, I don't want you on the air.
Hey, Corey, if you see Sergio Mora, too, I like him, okay? If you see him.
Sergio Mora?
Yes.
The commentator?
Fine commentator on his own. Former world champion, by the way. Oh, let's bring in trainer to
There
the
we go.
stars
I mean,
over here.
if this guy isn't the best trainer in boxing, I'm really not sure who is.
Wow. Bob Santos
And by the way,
in the
it
house.
feels like every time we talk to him, his stable gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
That's a good thing.
Last time I spoke to you, nice to see you, Bob. Hector Garcia was fighting Tank Davis in D.C. Who all is in the Bob Santos family in terms of trainers, or trainees, I should say?
Well, we got Denier, the Fear Perot, I think is the best young heavyweight in the sport.
Is the Cuban guy?
Yeah, he's a tremendous talent. I tell everybody he's like a bigger version of Usyk. I'm expecting big things from him. Obviously, I have his brother Lanier Perot, who's the top 5 heavyweight in the world, and both Olympians. I just took on Banana Rosario. We're going to see if we can resurrect his
Jason
career.
Rosario, our guy, yeah.
Yeah, I love Jason.
Former unified champion at 154.
Yeah, so we're going to see if we can resurrect his career. He's, he had a couple stumbles along the way, but hey, I had Carlos Cruzat, the only cruiserweight champ in the history of Chile, and he had a couple setbacks. Came to me, we turned him around, got his career on course. So we've done it before, and hopefully we can do it again.
But Mario Barrios is his client this Saturday on the pay-per-view card.
How did you two get hooked up?
I've had Mario Barrios. I turned
You
him
had
pro.
him before, and
I
then
turned
he
him
went
pro.
to Virgil, and now back to you?
I turned him pro. He's been with me the whole time. I turned him pro. I was his head coach all the way to #1 in the world. And we decided as a team to make a decision to go to Virgil for a time. And he was out in the Bay Area, and I'm out here in Las Vegas. And, the old saying, reunited and it feels so good. So as the old classic song says, that's what we did, and so far so good.
I mean, you guys took out a guy we respect a lot in Yordenis Ugas, who was really knocking on pound-for-pound level at his peak, going through Manny Pacquiao, winning the world title, all of that. That showed me another level of Mario's game. Showed me a little bit more boxing, showed me a little bit more thought put into it. Always a great action fighter, of course.
No, sure. He's coming into his own. He's 28. He's physically maturing. I think he's in a good weight class for him now. And so I think all things are coming together at the right time.
What was the biggest lesson that you take away from his fight with Tank?
Well,
weight?
Bingo. I don't want to take anything away from Tank because I think in and around that weight class, he is the absolute best. But, hey, if we could do that fight at, say, 44, it's a different night. You look at what Floyd Mayweather said. That's his guy. He's in the corner with him in the 11th round. He tells him, I don't care what the judges were saying, but his guy, his biggest supporter, a world-class guy, Hall of Famers, looking at that fight saying, you're losing this fight. That's by his assessment. You need to do something. He has the big equalizer. He was able to get it done, turn around and won the fight. But weight was a big factor in that fight. But that said, I think he is the best by far in and around
135.
135, 140.
For sure. And actually, I would love to go back to the Ugas fight. What was your game plan for the Ugas fight?
You know what? To his point earlier, a lot of people were thinking we were just going to be a typical Mexican fighter, put the pressure on, just come to him and try to bang it out with him, and he was going to be the boxer. So I think it took him by surprise that we were giving him lateral movement. We were turning him. We were on the jab. We were giving him feints. And I don't think they suspected that was going to happen. And I think that was the big tell for us. And like he had said, adding wrinkles to our game, and that was a big wrinkle that we added, and that was the big reason we were able to come out victorious.
And what would you say, since reuniting formally, what would you say has been the biggest area of growth for Barrios' game?
His footwork.
Footwork.
I think, got away from the basics. And
because you can fall in love with your punch, you can fall in love with being that guy. He's the Aztec warrior. He's that guy.
Well, one of the great things for us, I believe, was the Keith Thurman fight. Because if you look at the Keith Thurman fight, he was taking us laterally a little bit. The feet weren't where they needed to be. And if you look at that fight closely, every time he would see Barrios' feet weren't in the right place, then he would jump in and he'd pop shot him. Boom, boom. Because he was looking at the feet. And I look back at that, and when he came back to me, I says, look, we got to clean that up. That'll be the big key for us. And we've done that. And now that the base is there, the balance is there, I think that's the big turnaround for him.
He has been looking phenomenal, obviously, but I got to pick your brain on some of this stuff. Canelo and Munguia, I got to pick your brain, all right? So which is going to matter more? Here's your choice. Canelo's elite counterpunching, or as the rounds go on, the volume of work from Munguia?
For me, the telltale sign of this fight is going to be this. Can Munguia handle Canelo's punching power at that weight? And the reason I say that is because he gets hit so clean.
Gervonta rocked him in round 1.
Yeah, he gets hit so clean. Now, if for whatever reason, Saturday night, through just sure willpower, that he can keep himself up with a counterpunching getting hit that clean, we're in for a great fight. And that being said, I think we're still in for a pretty damn good fight as long as it lasts. But if he can really take those shots, we're in for a great fight. And Munguia, I just seen him yesterday working out. He came to work out in one of his final workouts at our gym, and he's a really big guy.
Yeah, he's you know what? I mean, this is the part, right? Canelo's coming off fighting Charlo. Munguia is much bigger than Charlo.
Oh, no,
significantly.
Yeah, no two ways about it. Even more than looks the part. At the end of the day, the guy's won 50-something fights he's never lost. Right. He's found a way to get it done. He won a world title at 21 years old. And I think he's in and around the better weight class for him with his sheer size at 68. So, but the question is, can he take Canelo's counterpunching and the way he gets hit so clean? And if he can, we're in for a hell of a fight.
Bob, what do you make of the Canelo demeanor, which is typically always so professional, so on top of it, it's hard to get him ruffled, and then we see him running after Oscar at the press conference yesterday. We see him responding to the fan demand to fight David Benavidez in a way that is almost sour and bitter, like I've given you guys everything and you still want more. Does that produce a nastier Canelo going for the finish on Saturday even more?
You know what? At the end of the day, he's got so many fights. He's been on the big stage. I don't think he's going to get outside of himself, right? Because he's a true pro. He's been on this big stage. He's done it so many times. But I will say this, the caveat to that is this. He gets him hurt. There's a little added there for sure, because I think it's personal with him and Oscar. Does it help sell pay-per-views to the fans? Sure, it does to a degree. But at the end of the day, we've all been through bad situations in business. Fortunately, I haven't been divorced, but I know a lot of family members that have.
Yeah, I'm the child of divorced parents.
Yeah,
it sucks.
So when you go through things like that, it's personal. And so you can see with him and Oscar, it's going to be personal. So I think if he gets him hurt, he's going to go for a devastating finish. And he wants it. There's no two ways about it.
When he's hurt, though. That's what's interesting.
You know what's
right?
funny, Bob? I was actually looking up Munguia's stats. If you look at his stats, he does not statistically get hit a lot of times, but the clean shots are what stands out. So it's not like he's taking a ton of abuse, but people are timing him, finding these openings, and fucking cracking him.
Well, yeah, exactly. So when you see it, you see it. There's no two ways about it. But that's what I'm saying. Can he limit that? And when it does, it's going to happen, because Canelo's a great fighter, great counter puncher. He sets traps for you. He got a wealth of experience, so it's going to happen. Can he withstand it? And Saturday night's going to be the tell.
Bob, it's been great to chat with you. They got Mario Barrios sliding in right there.
We got Jaime Munguia coming here. We got to get him on.
I'm sorry, not Mario Barrios. They got Jaime Munguia. I've got the name.
You know what?
Up.
They're about the same height. There's much difference, and they're both Mexican.
To the stars,
Bob,
Bob
thank you so
Santos.
much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, here he is, Jaime Munguia, coming through in the main event.
Who will look to take down the great Canelo Alvarez. Of course, Martin Botter, translator to the stars, will be handling the translation. Jaime, pleasure. Great to see you, sir.
You too.
Jaime Munguia.
Can you do interviews in English?
Huh?
No, not yet?
No, I can speak a little bit.
A little bit, okay.
Hey, you're doing well. Jaime, let's kick it off here. What we saw at Wednesday's press conference, you're sitting in the middle between Canelo and Oscar having a family fight. Well, how does that impact the fight on Saturday, if at all, in your mind?
Bueno, estás en el medio de lo que era una esfera familiar, Canelo, Oscar, todo lo que pasó. Y vos estabas como, ¿qué está pasando acá? ¿Cómo te impacta eso para la pelea del sábado?
No, la verdad que yo estoy muy tranquilo. A mí la verdad que eso no me afecta en nada. Esos no son mis problemas. Entonces yo estoy tranquilo.
Not my problem. I'm chill. I'm just chilling right now, very calm. And whatever happened between them, not my issue whatsoever.
Was it funny to you, or something else.
Yo me estaba riendo.
Yeah, I was laughing. I was like, yeah.
All right, Jaime, this is the biggest challenge of your career, but you, like Canelo says, you've earned it. You're ready. When you look at this version of Canelo, 33 years old, scout his game for us. What are his weaknesses? What are his strengths right now?
No cabe duda que te has ganado esta chance contra Canelo. Ahora, contanos un poco de lo que sería tu evaluación de él como oponente, sus fortalezas y sus debilidades. ¿Qué ves de él?
Bueno, yo creo que es un peleador muy completo, es un peleador con mucha experiencia. Creo que hay que hacer una pelea muy inteligente arriba del ring y pues hay que cuidar lo mejor que se pueda, pero pues sobre todo venimos a ganar.
He's a very experienced, very complete fighter. I can't be distracted for a second inside the ring. I gotta be on edge, sharp. But in the end, I know I have to win. I know I can win, and I know that I will win.
You have 43 wins. What have you done in those 43 wins that Canelo hasn't seen yet?
¿Qué has hecho en tus 43 victorias que Canelo todavía no haya visto? ¿Qué carta tenés en la manga?
Bueno, pues yo creo que hay muchas cosas que puedo hacer arriba del ring que aún no han visto. Hay infinidad de cosas que puedo hacer. Puedo ajustar muchas cosas arriba del ring. Como te lo digo, hay que tratar de hacer una pelea inteligente y ajustar para cualquier cosa arriba del ring.
I have plenty of aces up my sleeve. There is many things that I can do inside the ring that you haven't seen yet. I'm going to employ them on Saturday, and not even Canelo is aware of them yet.
Ooh, all right. So one of the big parts of Canelo's game that experts are saying you have to watch out for, every opponent has to watch out for, his elite counterpunching. How good do you think his counterpunching is, and what is your plan for it?
Bueno, ¿qué tan buen contraatacador es Canelo? ¿Sentís que eso es algo de lo que te tienes que cuidar específicamente, algo que te preocupa?
Pues yo creo que, pues como tú lo dices, hay que cuidarnos mucho del contragolpe, hay que tratar de mantener pues una buena distancia y, como te lo digo, pelearle inteligente para tratar de que no nos contragolpee.
I definitely have to be on the lookout for that elite counterpunching you mentioned. Keep my distance, and like I mentioned before, be smart. As long as I'm smart and I am sharp in there, then everything's going to be fine.
I got to ask, so I was here yesterday, and I heard this noise, and I was like, where is it coming from? And I walked outside, and there was a giant sign that said Jaime Munguia. It looked like it was all of your family members going crazy. Is this something that do they show up to all your fights, or is this the big occasion? Now they're all here.
Tu caravana familiar ahí afuera con el cartel y todo. ¿Ellos vienen a todas tus peleas de esa manera, con ese fervor, o es específicamente para esta pelea?
La verdad, vienen siempre a todas mis peleas, va mucha familia mía, pero esta en especial se reunieron, pues ahora sí que la mayoría, y todos están aquí, pues quiero agradecerles a todos por su apoyo.
My family usually comes to my fights, but the number of people that came from my family to this fight, yes, it's unique to this fight. And I want to thank them all for coming here because it's very special to me.
Jaime, this is a historically Las Vegas, a Canelo crowd, but I don't have to tell you that Mexican fans will travel. How do you think the crowd on fight night will be? 50-50, or do you think Canelo will still have a stronger presence?
Pues yo creo que tal vez es 50-50 o tal vez un poquito más para mí o para él. La verdad no sé cómo vaya a ser, pero lo que sí sé es que va a ser una buena pelea.
Maybe it's going to be 50-50, maybe a little edge for me, maybe a little edge for him. I don't know. But what I do know is that this is going to be a great fight.
I have to ask, it must be an honor to fight a Mexican icon, but is it also a little weird to fight a national icon?
Debe ser un honor pelear contra un ícono como el de México, pero a la misma vez es un poco raro habiéndolo visto en la tele tantas veces.
Sí, así es, pues la verdad que es una gran oportunidad y pues es la oportunidad de mi vida donde tengo que hacer una gran pelea. Pues sí, es un poco raro el haberlo visto tanto tiempo y el ahora estar aquí.
Is it a little weird having seen him on TV so many times and being here now? Yes, but I also know that this is a big opportunity, probably the biggest of my career, so I gotta take full advantage of it.
A bigger opportunity and a bigger stage. This is the Super Bowl of boxing, without question. Means a million interviews. It means you can't walk anywhere. How are you dealing with the increased attention and media demand this week?
¿Cómo hiciste para poder lidiar con toda la atención, las entrevistas, todo lo que yo te pido, por ejemplo, que es te puede abrumar, ¿no? ¿Cómo mantenés el boxeo y lo mediático separado?
Bueno, yo creo que la verdad ya, pues obviamente nunca había tenido tanta prensa. Había hecho algo similar, pero mucho menos, entonces yo creo que pues ya estamos, a final de cuentas ya estamos acostumbrados a esto. Yo la verdad vengo pues con la mentalidad como si fuera cualquier otra pelea. Obviamente sabemos de la importancia, pero estamos listos.
The level of media exposure has increased, no doubt about it. Nothing like I had ever seen before. But at the same time, I'm used to this atmosphere. This is nothing strange to me. And I feel ready, I feel confident for this fight. And what's going on this week is just wonderful. And it makes me feel even more eager to want to come out on Saturday night.
Jose, I got one more.
Go for it.
What will shock boxing more? Ryan Garcia's win over Devin Haney or your win over Canelo Alvarez?
¿Cuál va a ser el batacazo del año? ¿Habrá sido el de Ryan contra Haney o el tuyo contra Canelo?
El mío.
Mine.
¿Por qué? Why?
Porque va a ser una buena pelea, va a ser mejor pelea que la de ellos dos.
Because it's not only going to be a good fight, it's going to be a better fight than the Ryan Garcia-Devin Haney fight.
All right, final question. We've never seen Canelo down. We've only seen him hurt one time against Jose Miguel Cotto. How do you become the one that walks through Canelo for the first time?
Nunca hemos visto que no en la lona, la única vez que lo vimos fue contra Cotto, una vez. ¿Cómo vas a hacer para hacer historia?
Pero nunca nunca lo han tumbado, tal vez. Yo pienso que yo puedo ser el primero.
Look, he's never been knocked down, period. But I know I can be the first one.
Jaime Munguia, best of luck. Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
You.
Thank you,
care.
Martin, the last gaucho.
Thank you very
Martin
much.
Bator,
All right, there he is. Jaime Munguia.
Wow, confident, excited. Like
Calm?
almost like ain't no thing, right? Like,
Yeah, calm,
not a
calm.
big deal. Because how many times, seriously, have we seen, whether it's Floyd or Canelo, when a very good fighter wins the type of fight that puts them in the conversation to get that fight? How many times have we seen them step on the stage, look like it's too much for them, and fight like it's too much for them?
I've seen it in MMA. I've seen it in boxing.
Where you're like, that's not the best version of that man.
The classic one for our MMA audiences would be Pat Barry and Crow Cop, where this guy was my icon for so long in kickboxing, and now you're fighting him, and then you're kicking his ass, but then you don't follow up, and then he actually storms back. It's a whole thing. So I've seen it before, but still, this guy's whole style is just in your face, tons of volume, big puncher himself. He does get hit a lot, or not a lot numerically, but he does take the big shots.
And as you talked about with Bob Santos, which, by the way, great interview. Bob's
Bob's the
incredible.
best. I fucking love Bob.
He does get hit cleanly, and
Super
Canelo
clean.
has the power at 68 to completely, if not,
Well, here's the thing.
if not knock you down and hurt you, take the fight out of you. But I guess my follow-up question before you even answer is, like, Munguia does not strike me as the guy who's going to stop no matter how bad it gets. He's going to
That's
keep.
exactly right. And the other part, too, is, okay, we saw Canelo unleash big power at different parts of that fight, but I would say a lot more in the early parts of that fight.
Yeah.
There was a big punch later, but still, most of it was done a little bit early. Dude, what if, like, the relentless punishment that, and just the volume that Munguia throws wears him down. He does get rocked in the first few rounds, but rounds 7 through 12, he's putting it on Canelo. This is the other part, and we always kind of neglect to talk about it. Dude, how many times have you watched or been in Las Vegas for a Canelo fight where you thought for sure he's going to lose on the cards, and he doesn't lose on the cards?
Let's go over it. Okay, let's just break it down in hindsight. Here are the fights I consider that could have been scored the other way for Canelo's career, okay? I am in the extreme minority who had Trout barely beating him, and people hate me for that. Back in 2013, Austin Trout.
The one with open scoring.
The one with open scoring. I'll mention it, but when they revealed the open scoring, Trout was down 8-0 in a fight. I had 4-4 at that point. I get that Canelo knocked him down in round 6, whatever. The Lara fight, Ariel Lara on pay-per-view could have gone either way. I scored it for Lara in real time, could have gone either way. Canelo got the benefit of the doubt. You could say that's because he's the guy pushing forward more often, so maybe the judges preferred the style. But all we have to mention is the Floyd Mayweather fight, which actually was before that, and Canelo, despite being dominated 12-0 on my scorecard,
CJ Ross, baby.
CJ Ross gave him 6 rounds. And to be fair, the other 2 judges gave him more rounds than even I felt comfortable, something like 3 and 4 each. Okay, so there you go. Then you fast forward to what? The first Gennady Golovkin fight in which...
Oh, my. I thought when that fight finished, for sure, Canelo was about to get his second L. No.
And we have a very disputed set of scorecards, not just... Adelaide Bird, who had 118, 110 for Canelo, which is just unthinkable. But even, Don Trella scored at a draw, and a fight that I really felt confident in real time was 8-4 Triple G. Upon rewatch, a lot more like maybe even 7-5, which is still close.
Right.
But we knew the guy who won. Rematch. I scored it for Golovkin in real time. More people did seem to have it a draw. It goes down as a majority decision win. But because Canelo fought in a manner that was so offensive walking forward, actually backing Golovkin up at some point, I don't think it's a robbery or anything. I think it's a disputed fight, right? It's fine.
Right.
Danny Jacobs, I scored a draw. Again,
That's another outrageously close one. Well, that one was in New York?
That one was in Vegas.
Vegas.
I feel like
Was
if
it
Jacobs would have poured it on late, he could have stolen a decision. But fine, the point is that consistently this guy is going to get the benefit of the doubt at every turn. Now, he hasn't needed it in a while, but like that doesn't last forever, because there was a while where people thought Oscar, for example, Luke, because of the Pernell Whitaker fight, because of the Ike Corte fight, that were all very close and really, in theory, could have gone either way. People were like, man, Oscar always gets the calls. And then the Felix Trinidad fight happened and he didn't get the calls. So, like, it's got to catch up to you eventually, right?
Is this
the
weekend?
Munguia even good enough to get to the scorecards in a competitive manner? In face value, based on what we'd seen, and because we respect Canelo's game so much, your answer would be no. But this Ryan Garcia thing does force us to reset ideas. Munguia against John Ryder, true or false, his last fight in January of this year, was at least 30% better than you'd ever seen him. That's a lot, but I'm going to stand with it.
I don't know if I agree with that, but definitely there was a difference. Yes.
How much more in fight number 2 with Freddy Roach can we expect advancement and growth? And is any element of this buildup for Canelo not taking his eyes off the ball? But, dude, he's got a lot of people against him right now, right? They're saying you're ducking Benavidez. You know what I mean?
It's kind of interesting. How the way. Oh, here we go. Oh, yeah. Let's get him on.
Here we go. Let's go with the CEO of Mayweather Promotions right
Washington, D.C.'s finest.
Leonard Ellerbe. Leonard, just slide that mic over. There you go.
We're going to help you out. Don't worry. Okay. Leonard, we got to talk about this. First of all, nice to see you. I saw you yesterday. I was like, stop by. Here you are.
Of course.
So thank you for
People
coming
aren't
through.
talking enough about the rebrand he's going through style-wise, the beard. I love it, man.
The gray has been eating my face since I was 25.
Really?
I just let it go, man.
I did the same thing, and it was the best thing that I've ever done.
You feel better?
Oh my God, I get so many compliments.
And also,
every day.
if you take care of yourself and you have high energy, it actually all makes it look great. Like you can do well with it. So
yeah, I love the new look.
All right, well, welcome. Got to ask you about this Ryan Garcia news, because I was like, after I saw you yesterday, I was like, oh my God, when I see him tomorrow, we got to talk about it.
What do we do with this?
Have you spoke to Devin Haney? Do you know Devin Haney at all? Tell me about what you think.
No, I don't. I know them, but I don't communicate with them at all. I've spoken to his attorney, who happens to be my attorney.
Okay.
And that's kind of where I first found out about it. You know, it went public, and then I actually called him, and But my honest opinion, I really don't have an opinion, only because I'm not one to jump out there and just go along with what everybody else is saying. I'm a fact-based person, and I take pride in doing that. Accusing somebody of something when you don't have all the information. I know that they put it out there that there was an adverse finding with the A sample, but how this process goes is that you got to get the B sample too, and then you can kind of make a decision based upon when you have all the information.
I will say though, Leonard, I've been doing this a long time. I have never seen an athlete come back with a B sample exonerated him. I've never seen it.
I have.
Have you?
One.
It's rare. It's rare.
I have.
It's rare.
That's why I know firsthand, and it's not anybody that I was affiliated with, but I know firsthand that has happened, and people jumped out there and accused and said this and that, and again, it's just that I'm not going to light Ryan Garcia up until there's a time, if there's a time to do that.
All right, I got to ask you this hot button question then, because you almost went to blows with Oscar at Tank versus Ryan, and it was, to us in the media, it was like, oh snap. Leonard basically made a decision, drew a line in the sand saying this relationship ends, I take no more BS from this man. When Canelo got out of his chair at Wednesday's press conference and was walking Oscar down, were you like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about?
And I love to see that. It's like, again, there's definitely been tension between those two for quite some time not since he left. I'm sure there was a long period of time while he was still with them, that he's always thought that Oscar was a horrible person, just like myself. And
he based that conclusion upon the stuff that he was dealing with. My situation is totally different from a professional/business thing. So them two have had their own little thing. So Oscar, in my opinion, he had planned to say whatever, and he said what he said, and Canelo said what he said. Those two, I know firsthand from the Canelo perspective, is that he don't even want that negative energy around him. Right. He don't even want to be in the same room with him because it's just dirty and nasty.
Here's what I can't figure out about Oscar. He obviously planned to make those comments, right?
Yes.
Yesterday's presser.
Yes.
But I can't figure out if he was planning to do it to be like disruptive with the intent of getting at Canelo, or whether he was doing it just because he's acting out.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Trying to sell the fight. He's a promoter.
Okay, but
yeah.
I can't ever tell like actually how thoughtful and strategic it is versus emotionally. Maybe he's just a child,
Well,
does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Again, and touch on what he was saying is that, obviously, he said what he said. He said what he said, but it's gonna get nasty. I can promise you that it's gonna get really, really, really nasty.
Wait, so I wasn't there for Tank and Ryan. I was on vacation. What's the story between you and Oscar there?
Well, he had said something, and I was sitting there.
It was at the press conference.
It was at the press conference.
Okay.
He was sitting there, and I'm just looking straight ahead, and I'm actually right next to the podium, and he was saying something about along the lines of Tank's team and don't believe in him, and that kind of thing. I'm like, oh, he's talking about me, and okay. And so it just naturally, it's like we have a history together. It's like I know a lot of stuff. And it's like...
And you shared a few secrets during that press conference.
Yeah,
too.
he has been asleep under the wheel for many, 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 many years. He hasn't been around. He wasn't around when Canelo fought Floyd. He wasn't around. That was Canelo's biggest fight at that point of his entire life. He was a young fighter, and here it is, he has a promoter who's been in the ring with Floyd. He wasn't even around to offer him anything. His biggest moment of his life, he wasn't around because he made other personal choices to do whatever he wanted to. He was not concerned about the health and welfare of his fighter, his team, his promotional company, because he had other demons and things going on.
Sure.
And that's happened on a number of occasions. So Canelo can speak firsthand on that, his biggest moment, the guy wasn't there. And he's done things outside of the ring that if you're a fighter, how can you respect him and look up to him as like a role model? And it's no secret. It's no secret the things that has been exposed. But that's his life and how he's got to live. And, I'm sure he has kids. I know for a fact he has kids. So that it's very damaging. Very, very damaging.
Just a lot of energy, too. It's a lot of work to beef with people like that all the time.
Yeah,
right?
but he is, again, my favorite word, he's a horrible person. He's a horrible, horrible person. And again,
straight
to Floyd's credit, Floyd told me this when he was a youngster at Top Rank. He said he's the fakest mother in boxing. He told me that then. And it was like, I didn't believe him. I'm just being honest. I didn't believe him. I didn't have a relationship with him. I didn't really know him. And it was just like, but I paid attention. And then I watched how he moved. And
this Floyd mentorship, if you want to call it that, with Ryan Garcia ahead of the Haney fight, I actually saw develop. Ryan just tries to distract you with the craziness. But his in-ring development that night, in terms of his poise, his defense, it was like next step from what we'd seen before. How much do you think of a hand Floyd did have in either just building up his confidence, running with him? Like what were the limits of that relationship? How close did they get?
I don't know. That's a question for Floyd. That's a question for Floyd and Ryan. I wasn't around at any time. I ain't seen Ryan since. I haven't seen Ryan since the Tank fight.
Well,
so I don't. They have their own. Floyd has a relationship with a number of fighters.
Sure.
He's a lot of fighters look up to him. He's mentored a lot of people, call him up, ask him for information, advice all the time because he's experienced everything. He's been at the top of the food chain for so many, many, many years, and he's a walking encyclopedia, you know. So quite naturally, all the fighters from different promotional companies, you know, because Floyd is a approachable, accessible guy that he don't mind helping people out.
Curious about how you about Tank Davis, right? So he had to serve what he owed to the state. He did, and it looks like he's keeping since then a much lower profile.
Seems like a good fight coming up against Frank Martin.
He's got a great fight coming up against Frank Martin.
I'm so proud of Tank and his how his maturation. I'm so proud being someone that's, you know, a much older guy, you know, and he's very respectful to me. I'm very impressed with how he's turned the corner with how he's approached certain things in his life. You know, with being a father, you know, he's really dived into that and taking responsibility and trying to be a positive role model for his kids. You know, but those kind of things happen when you get to a point, because I've seen it with Floyd. You know, when he was young, he was just all over the place, and, you know, then at a certain point, things turn and you start being a lot more responsible and being a lot more accountable kind of thing. And even when sometimes we laugh about different things that have happened over the years, and he was like, man, I remember when you told me this, and I was like, I ain't want to listen, but everything you told me, that shit was true.
I'm telling you, us older guys, we know a couple things.
That thing was true. And he said, all along, I was like, the guys, everybody thought that you was a hater, and you was da-da-da-da. And it's like, no, I'm just doing my job, and if you care about people, if they doing something right or wrong, you'll tell them about it.
Yeah.
And you don't really care about the repercussions. And I've always been that guy. And people know me. If I'm with you, I'm with you.
Yeah. Well, you've been ride or die for Floyd for so long. I always like picking your brain with questions like this because I've obviously covering Floyd's run will always be the number one standout thing on my journalistic career resume.
That's
because
dope.
You know, there for every pay-per-view. You were in the corner, you were in camp, you were everywhere. Was there a certain victory that stands out to you now in hindsight that you're like, man, Floyd dug the deepest for that, and maybe people don't know, or Floyd focused in a way that was superhuman for that?
That maybe meant more to y'all than the public knew.
Afterwards you were like almost like a dad to a son that you were so proud of him.
Damn, they're definitely, like, I can think of the Emmanuel Augustus fight,
which was hard.
It was like, yo, the guys, we were in the lobby, and Emmanuel Augustus he comes in there with this old ass 3-piece suit that he looked like he just got out the garbage.
The drunken master of the
drunken master with these raggedy ass cowboy boots on, with a big old cowboy hat. And the guys were like, who is that guy? And he's like, oh, that's the guy Floyd fighting. Oh, Floyd gonna knock him out in 1 or 2 rounds. I said, that ain't happening. I said, Floyd is gonna go rounds with this guy. He's tough. It's the right kind of fight. And thanks to Bruce Trampler, you know, there was the right fight. It was the right fight where it's like Floyd was going to be tested.
And Floyd still calls that his hardest fight.
Yeah. He said that publicly?
Yes, he has.
Okay.
So I bring this up. I did when Floyd was doing the Floyd Canelo press tour. You remember this one? Mm-hmm. They stopped in D.C.
Oh, yeah.
They went to the Howard Theater.
Oh, yeah.
They went to the Howard Theater. I was there.
The one who set that up.
You set that up?
Of course. Wow. That was my old stomping ground.
Dude, I remember how cool it was.
The Howard Theater?
I actually have a picture. I have a picture of the mural that they drew for that event inside the walls. But I'll never forget, he was talking with Dan Rayfield. There was a pre-event scrum.
Yeah.
And you know what fight he said to Dan was one of the ones that he takes more pride in. And he always poo-poos this whenever I say it, but I heard Floyd say it, the Baldomir win. He, for some reason, has highlighted the Baldomir win as like one of the ones. Yeah, dude, I'm telling you.
Floyd controlled him.
I'm going to take you back. Who was the chief second in his corner that night?
Was it Roger or no?
Was it Leonard Ellerbe?
Yeah. There you go.
Oh.
Yeah, that was my first time ever being the chief second in the corner.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, Roger had a little, something he had to deal with for like 6 months. Yeah. He had to go sit down.
He
had to go sit down for a minute, and it was just like, so it was something that I can always tell my kids that like, oh, that was dope.
I do have to ask about Tank one more time. Tank's got this fight with Frank Martin.
Man.
By the way, I love it.
Me too.
What are we expecting? So listen, Tank Ryan was two forces meeting. Tank was the bigger one, but Ryan brought some people too. You got to give him credit. Frank is not Ryan Garcia in that sense, but Tank is also bigger than ever. What is realistically possible at the box office for this Tank in June with David Benavidez in that co-main?
Massive. Watch how big this fight's going to be.
You think so?
It's going to be much bigger than the naysayers think. It's huge. And got a shot at this being the biggest fight of the year.
Okay, that's
got a shot.
The same year as Mike Tyson coming back.
Got a shot.
Okay. Are you against the Mike Tyson thing?
No.
Tell me why.
I'm not, because I'm all for people trying different things. I don't know what each of them bring to the ring. I've just recently heard that they've sanctioned it as a professional fight.
That's true.
14-ounce gloves, 2-minute rounds.
Yeah. So again, let them do what they do. If Mike is a iconic figure and has been for so many years. He held his own and did his thing with Roy Jones. Obviously, that's many years after both of their primes. But again, we really don't know much about Jake Paul. Really, really don't. I have no problems with any of them doing. I thought it was a terrific idea, and I'm sure that this was spearheaded by Jake Paul because, again, I will give him all the credit, is that this is a tremendous idea to put that out there and do it on Netflix. And again, it's just going to raise his profile. I'm sure that whatever revenue that's involved, I'm sure that Mike Tyson is getting a large portion of that revenue.
No doubt
because
about it.
Jake Paul is thinking big picture, where he's planting the seed and doing what he's doing to build a bigger fan base. So again, it's a great idea. I totally have nothing bad to say about them coming together and doing that.
Leonard, I got to close with a style question because although you're chilling today, you've always been a man of the fine threads.
Suits.
We always, I drink $12 wine with my wife at home, but then one time at a steak dinner, I'd eat like drink a $300 and a $500. I'm like, wow, that's how the other half lives. There's levels to this. I get it. What is the baseline price of a suit when it starts going from, because I pay about $300 to $500 for my suits. I'm not in a high class bracket. What is the minimum where you put that on and you're like, oh, this is the level that I need to be at because of the way it feels.
It's the tailoring though, isn't it?
Yeah, it has a lot. I got a lot of stuff that's custom, Tom Ford stuff, and it's in the 75, 10 grand range.
Holy So a 10 grand suit feels like a 10 grand suit, right?
Yeah, you know what it is.
Do you have the one that's bulletproof?
No.
So my brother got one. He because he spent many years in England and he went back to a tailor there, and that tailor does stuff for movie production, and they actually do make suits now. And like you saw it, you wouldn't think anything of it, but it's bulletproof. He wore it at his wedding, and I was like, that's a little weird. You wore it at your wedding, but it's a cool suit.
Tom Ford is amazing, and again, I've had some very, very nice pieces over the years.
One day, you and I.
One day, $10,000 suit. If I have a $10,000, I'm gonna come show it to you and say, give me that Leonard Ellerbe seal of approval.
That's what I'm talking about right there.
You gotta have the glasses and the shoes and everything to kind of go with it too.
Leonard, always nice to see you. Always
too.
nice to catch up with you.
You gotta have the style and swag to pull it off. This man does.
I'm sure I'll see you on the road.
Almost definitely.
He's
All right.
the CEO.
By the way, you call home where?
I live here in Vegas. I've been here the last 28 years.
Where does the government send you bills? Here.
Here.
Yeah.
There it is.
There
Leonard Ellerbe, the CEO
Thank you, Leonard. Have a good one.
Mayweather Promotions, big part of all things PBC as always.
That's right.
For sure.
Yeah, it plays a big role here as well.
Hey, by the way, we were talking about the beef between Oscar and Canelo. Let's not forget that Oscar took umbrage in the weeks leading up to this fight, finding out that Canelo tried to put like an edict through the promotion and everything involved that Oscar would be banned from any press event during the week, right? He didn't want the distraction. His quote is hilarious. He said, "Oscar has shit in his head," because it's always like a little bit off the Spanish to English, but that's I think why Oscar's like, "Oh, you don't want me here? well, I have a right to be here because I'm the co-promoter of Munguia, but also I'm going to come and try to get in your head. But
I know,
think
but
the biggest
it's always
question is,
amazing
like,
to me, dude. He never comes in as like elder statesman. He comes in grenade.
Well, first of all, it's his style. He's got a big ego. I think he is really smart in how to promote fights. When he came at that tank press conference that we were referencing, when Ellerbe dropped bombs on him, he was doing that to try to bring some life to it because both
was
guys
that the LA tour?
No,
that was
in
York
Vegas
one.
during fight week.
Vegas.
And look, both guys weren't really talking a ton of trash, right? They're respectful of each other. That stirred the pot. But if you try to stir the pot with Canelo, you're going to get the very best of him, right? It's the same thing when I talk about when I play basketball and I'm trying to get in the heads of all these 50-year-old men and some want to take my head off because of it. You got to realize which buttons not to press on certain people. The last time we saw heel Canelo really come out was after he failed the drug test for the second Golovkin fight. And what did he do when he finally came back in the ring? Dude, he walked Golovkin down and got the victory. I'm wondering if he put a giant target on Jaime Munguia. Like, who cares? It's going to be an action fight at the end of the day. But everyone keeps saying, yeah, Bob Santos said it. Yeah, I could see Canelo going in extra for the KO there to just make that statement.
Yeah.
But, dude, you heard my rant on Mondays, MK. You agree to a large degree that, like, I don't think we can defend Canelo not fighting Benavidez right now this calendar year. I don't think we can justify it. If Canelo does what the odds makers as a 5-1 betting favorite say he will, does he call anybody out on Saturday?
Here's the thing. You're going to laugh at me, but you just need to hear me for a second. I'm actually going to make a serious point to answer your question.
Serious point.
I was watching one of the Kung Fu Pandas with Violetta. And,
is this a serious point? I don't know.
Yeah. So there's a character in there. He's like the Yoda version of whatever is in that series. His name is Master Oogway. Anyone who's got any kids who's watched this knows who Master Oogway is. And he says something when the panda tries to avoid a big confrontation, and he says, a man often discovers himself on the road he took to avoid that outcome. Or, sorry, he discovers that outcome on the road he took to avoid it.
To avoid it, right, yes.
And so part of me just wonders about Canelo. It's like, okay, does Canelo have a right to take whatever fight he wants? Not with the belts, but as a general career posture. Yes, he does.
I mean, he has enough goodwill in the bank from the Daring to Be Great standpoint.
And this fight is fine. Like, I don't have a problem. I genuinely don't have a problem with this fight at all. Should it be Benavidez? Yes, but this fight is good. What's up? Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
What do you say?
Jim Lampley could be sliding by
we'll take Jim.
Fantastic.
But the point being is, but okay, if you're going to go down this path, the margin for error is very low. Like, you're taking managed difficulties irrespective of what the titles are supposed to demand. Okay, fine. But in doing that, is he actually inviting a Munguia who could be peaking, who could be getting ready for that next level? Like, oh, I didn't want to take the Benavidez fight, I'll take this more managed one. And in fact, what he might discover is that Munguia was not who he thought he was.
Exactly, and that's where the reference when Oscar compares it to his own fight with Chavez, the first meeting, where I know Oscar was the betting favorite in that one, so it's not a perfect comparison. But Oscar was 23, Chavez was 33. But the old guard, the old Mexican fans were still like, okay, let's see what this pretty boy can do against the real one. And the pretty boy walked right through him and bloodied him and stopped him. So it's like, maybe it is a perfect storm where if Canelo was saying, I don't know if I want that smoke of Benavidez anymore. I don't know if I want to go through that. What do I have to gain from that?
Right.
They'll just put it, as he always says, they'll just give me another guy after that I haven't beat, whether it's Morel, whether it's whatever. You're right. Maybe there is a chance there's taking the eye off the ball, and then Munguia peaks in the second fight. Maybe it just equates to an action fight, win or lose for Canelo. Right? I want to see a great fight. I want to see a great atmosphere. We know we're going to get that. I obviously want to see Benavidez. I just want to see Canelo though be fully honest about it, or maybe he is. Maybe in his mind the honesty is already there when he says, "Guys, what else do I have to accomplish for you to get off my back?"
I know, but he has the titles.
But he doesn't have the titles. That's the thing.
That's the issue.
That's the issue.
You know what I want?
I mean, he wanted Berlanga,
food.
dude. He wanted Berlanga. He wanted Jamal Charlo or Berlanga right now under the old.
The Munguia was the best of those three options by a million miles, right?
Of course.
Munguia over Charlo and Munguia over
under
Munguia
different
especially
circumstances,
over Berlanga.
Jamal Charlo would be a great fight. Not under the circumstances of his layoff and his brother dropping the ball in their fight last fall.
And then also his brother having some legal or domestic
outside
violence
the ring
issues as well.
Yes, no question.
By the way, this food here, I mean, I'm just...
It's a big CTs to have that food there, but we got great guest line. Canelo is coming through in about 25 minutes.
That's what they say. That's what they say. Canelo should be here
I mean,
in about 20
if you want to run
minutes.
over and fill a fajita and stuff it in your face...
Why's it got to be a fajita?
Hey, tell the audience you didn't like sit around eating today, like vigorously masturbating. You worked out like a real man.
I didn't say I wasn't vigorously masturbating. I just said that I was also working out like crazy today. Yeah, I was. I've been trying to, but it's like, oh my God, my trainer's got me going to insane degrees.
Hey, my trainer, Darren Robinson, who's made this body what it is, Luke.
Yeah.
He's offered to do your nutrition for free.
I don't need the help, although I'm sure he could do a great job.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I could be better about it, but what I'm saying is I've already got people counseling me on it. It's not that I'm not getting good advice.
I just want to see you live long and prosper.
Yeah. I can't do that either. I can't. Can you do the Vulcan thing? I can't do it.
I can't do that either. Hopefully they'll be sliding in a great interview guest shortly. Hey, Al Bernstein in the area. You see him lingering over there?
I see him. He's got
Shout
a
out to
big-ass
the great
collar on.
Al Bernstein. Yeah, it looks very 1970s-ish, but I like that. I'll talk to him about
Dude,
that.
if I was Al's age, I would not be working.
I would walk around shirtless, right? Just with barbecue sauce stains on my
Does
chest.
he live here? He lives in Vegas?
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
Forever.
Dude, it's like either he's at a fight or he's doing show tunes.
Yeah, the guy can lead a band in like a.
I'm like, what is he, 74?
Standards. He's like 73. Yeah.
Dude, if I was 73, I mean, I'm calling it a fucking
He was in a
day.
lot of Rocky movies too. He had big
Fuck
roles.
you, I'm hungry. Yes, please.
Ooh, look at Dan Canobio right now of Inside Boxing Live is going to make us a Mexicano
More protein,
plate.
less carbs, but I'll take some carbs. Thank you.
What do you think about an anijos? Because
Fuck that. I want to take advantage. He offered it.
yeah, Luke's just walking over people. Yeah, can you also jerk me off? Luke, if I was going to gringo anillos, which of course is the Smoke Mescal brand, which is launching this weekend, you can go to drinkanillos.com. I would call it anilos.
Anilos, yeah.
But
That's
this is Spanish for rings. And you know Steven Jackson won a ring with the 2003 Spurs. And you know there's rings of smoke around them at all times, Luke. But do you think Stack, not Stackhouse, Stack 5, has worn an anillos on his cojones, Luke?
Cojones? I don't know what cojones are. That's not a real word.
Okay.
Do you want a little lesson in how to pronounce them?
No,
you see the accent over the A in the last one?
Tobala.
Tobala. That's how you would say it. Tobala.
Tobala.
Because that's where the emphasis goes.
Yes. It's just like that city in Argentina. You want to say Cordoba, but it's not, Luke. Cordoba. Look at me. I'm cultured. I'm seasoned.
So,
hey, Chris Algieri walking around.
Yeah. My brother-in-law is
You're like, I
just
don't care
living
about
here
that.
right now in Oaxaca.
Oaxaca, yeah.
Yeah, and
It's in the
he
mountains.
says it's amazing.
Yes.
He says
yes.
it's amazing.
Shout out to Anillos. We may crack. Corey, can we crack this open during Room Service Diaries tonight, or is this a prop? Do you drink mezcal? Matt Snyder should be here. He's a mezcal
Holy shit.
expert. Wow.
Look at this. Just a plate of excellence.
Dan Canobes. Is that mine or his?
We could share.
Okay, all right.
There's extra plates under here.
Let me try that.
All right, let's just. All right.
Oh, hey, that's
Hey,
pretty good.
Canelo's going to be sliding in here soon, all right?
Holy shit.
Let's just slide that over there. All right.
God damn.
You know, Chris Algieri. Guys, Chris Algieri, former world champion, is over here. Plenty of guac.
Chris, you want to talk to us, or are you busy eating your food? All right.
All right, let's slide him in here. He is I spit all over the table. He, of course, is one half of Inside CompuBox Live, Inside Boxing Live. He is a fantastic analyst for which networks are you officially with these days?
ProBox TV. I do international for Top Rank. I do shows for DAZN.
And of course, the former 140-pound world champion. So put some effing respect on his name, Chris Algieri, avocado aficionado.
Thank you,
look, when you're young and you're on top of the world and you're in Las Vegas for a residency preparing to fight Manny Pacquiao and like Kevin Rooney Jr. and Todd Grisham are shirtless around you, are you guys just mopping up? Because in my dreams you are,
Dreams are reality sometimes. Sometimes they're not. So
The only man to fight Manny Pacquiao while living in his parents' basement.
True.
On purpose?
Yeah, it was funny. HBO came over because it was like a big storyline that I'm a world champion and I live in my parents' basement. But guys, my parents, I'm Latin and Italian. My mother's from Argentina. My father's Italian. You don't move out. You get married and you bring the kids in.
Dude, or you don't leave until you get married.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But then it was funny. HBO came to the house to do a 24/7. They did like a whole barbecue thing in my backyard, and they all came up. They're like, "This is where you live?" I was like, "Yeah, this place is great. Your family's awesome." I'm like, "Yeah, this is why I don't move out. This is great."
So, dude, how often do your parents argue with their hands?
Oh, not every time. My mother argues with either a slipper in her hand because she wants to hit you with it, or a wooden spoon. Yeah, yes.
Yes, I know that game.
Yeah.
Okay, Chris, we got to talk about it. The Ryan Garcia news.
Yep.
Your reaction.
I mean, we still have a lot more details to come out. We got to see what kind of levels that we're dealing with, because then you got to talk about whether this was intentional, which is a big deal. I mean, it's a big deal either way. Listen, objectively, the stuff is in your system. that's your fault. You're supposed to be aware of what you're taking into your body. Or if it was a spiked supplement or something like that. So that's where it comes into play about how much was in his system. We just got to get more details. So this is an ongoing situation that there are no, I mean, you shouldn't dump on him right away. Like, we don't know. We don't know yet. We don't know if it was on purpose. We don't know if it was by accident. But either way, the stuff was in his system, and that needs to be dealt with.
I will say this. People are making a big deal of the Ostarine, covering just MMA, but boxing too. There's like a gazillion cases of guys getting contaminated supplements and being able to prove it with Ostarine. But everyone's being like, well, there could be a second one. Guys, they're only saying that IRMS test, which is the isotope ratio magnetic spectrometry, whatever it is. That test is done. I'm not saying as a formality, but I'm expecting them to come back and say that was also in his system as well. I'm expecting them to come back and say, dude, that's a hardcore steroid.
Yeah, that's an anabolic.
That one is much worse than the other one.
That's a bodybuilding anabolic. It's very weird for a boxer. Ostarine, like you said, tons of fighters.
Sense,
and it's actually a really great drug for that. But Deca is like a early 90s, late 80s. Like,
I think Ben Johnson
drug.
pissed that out.
It's bad for your liver
it's
and
bad
all
for
kinds
everything.
of shit.
But that's the thing about so Ostarine's a SARM, selective androgen receptor modulator. So it's selective, meaning that it goes for your muscle and bone tissue. So which is great for athletes, and you don't have those side effects, those organ issues that you have with like a hardcore anabolic like Deca.
Yeah, the SARM goblins are they're everywhere on the internet. Okay, the fight will likely be overturned to a no contest.
But Ryan still wins in the eyes of the public.
I'm gonna say how much does because I was like you, I've been on the crow eating tour all week. I'm 100% been watching all your stuff. I'm like, I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I'm the same fucking way. How much do we dial that back now?
A lot.
Because dude, I'm like, here's the thing: is it entirely possible that he had Ostarine in some contaminated way and that he didn't make weight because he was undisciplined? That is possible.
Yes.
But when you have those two compounds and you miss weight right in the place where you're not going to cut more, but they're not going to throw the fight, it seems quite intentional, doesn't it?
It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. You know, it's a situation that, again, like I said, we need more information, and we're not going to figure this out for weeks to months because that's how this sport works with these kind of things. But no, it doesn't look good. It's definitely not a positive. Boxing never misses an opportunity to give itself a black eye, right?
Well, don't forget the time Eric Morales failed the A and the B sample against Danny Garcia, and they were like, yeah, we'll just let him fight anyway. I mean, so in boxing, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Well, he didn't make weight for that one either. So he didn't make weight, and he failed in the drug test.
Oh my God.
But it's a little different when you're, he was probably 37 years old, 38 years old then, and Ryan's 25. Taking these kinds of things when you're 25 is crazy. You're changing your tissue. That's why I'm really concerned about these younger guys who are potentially doing this stuff, because you're making differences in your tissue. You're making your bones hard, making tendons stronger. That doesn't go away.
How was Florida? You live in Florida, don't you?
I live in Florida.
How was Florida?
Love it.
Love it? That seems like a strong way to describe Florida.
It. Florida's awesome, man.
How many times have you been shot?
You know what? I'm pretty thin, maybe not.
How many times have you walked into a Winn-Dixie packing heat?
Yeah.
That's Florida. With
every
sandals,
time. I've never not had heat on me when I was walking to Winn-Dixie, dude. You go to Winn-Dixie, you better be ready.
It's time to go.
It's a Wild Wild West in there.
Where do you live, in South Florida?
Yeah, South Florida.
Best part about South Florida, aside from the beach and all that shit?
I'm in Boca Raton. Like, it's basically like
That's a nice
another borough of New York. So
yeah, a lot of leathery really old ass skin, a lot of old balls.
I call them Florida lizards, and I can't wait to be one. I'm working my way into being a retired Florida lizard.
You actually know a bunch of people in the MMA world, don't you?
I do.
Who have you worked with? Who have you made contact with?
So my trainer, Keith Trimble, worked with a lot of guys in the UFC. Dennis Bermudez was an old sparring partner of mine. Ryan LaFleur, Chris Weidman, I wrestled with in high school. John Vellante.
What was he like in high school?
Chris was a stud, absolute stud. Really, he was a couple years younger than me. I was actually coaching when he won states. I think
coaching wrestling?
Time. Yeah, I coached wrestling for 3 seasons after I graduated high school.
Holy shit! So you could have done MMA.
But he was a kickboxing world champion, right?
Yep.
What league were you in?
I won the ISK world title and the WK world title.
And so you settled on boxing because that's just where the most money is?
No, I was always a boxing fan more than anything. When I was a kid, MMA wasn't a thing. I didn't Randy Couture wasn't around when I was a kid. But when I grew up, there was Mike Tyson, there was Roy Jones Jr. So I always watched boxing and being like, those are my heroes. Those are the guys I want to be. So I always said every year that I boxed, I was living out my childhood dreams. MMA just wasn't that for me. So and it was a very dangerous sport, and it was a lot more things to learn. I always talk about, all right, I came from kickboxing, I had more weapons. I'd rather focus in and hone on these 2 weapons and be more of a master of these two rather than adding weapons.
You know what drives me nuts about like inside of MMA? There's a certain dialogue, and part of it is true, which is you'll get these guys who leave the UFC and then they'll fight Jake Paul. And the one thing that they do say that I believe is they're like, the boxing training is easier on my body.
Oh, absolutely.
100% I believe that.
Yeah.
But when they say boxing is easier than MMA, it's like, oh, you don't have to deal with all these other weapons. I'm like, right. But the weapons you do have to deal with, the level of
They're
refinement
experts,
is so much higher.
Yeah. And all the guys that I talk to, the guys that I spar with, I used to spar with Dustin Poirier, Aljamain from Long Island. I used to spar with him. I sparred with all these guys. So, like I came up with these guys. Some of them I have actually even kickboxed with because I was still kicking back then. But yeah, no, I'd say Dustin's probably the best boxer I've sparred with at MMA.
Okay.
But he's one of those guys. Like absolutely, it's a totally different sport.
Yeah.
It's not the same. It's not.
What was he had big power? What was his thing?
Power was very decent. I mean, he's a much bigger guy than me, but no, he had good skills, and he works with Dia Davis down in Boca Raton.
That's right, he does.
Excellent coach. Really great guy. Good pro himself. Just like legit like boxing skills.
All right, you called yourself in your prime a master boxer and have a keen eye as an analyst, obviously, to pick things up. When you look at Canelo's game, like it's a little bit of everything that makes him great, but is there one thing that he's doing or has done that's just so far ahead of the competition? Whether it's footwork, technique, whatever it is, or it could be his poise that you're just like that. Ultimately, is the reason why
Chin's
he's
got to be part of it.
Well, I think he's got the best chin in boxing right now. I mean, the guy's incredible. The guys that he's fought. I would say a few years ago, the thing that always stood out for me was how he's always improving. He was constantly improving. He learned from fight to fight. Like he learned so much in the Mayweather fight. His style changed completely. He's got really good reactions. He doesn't fight like a traditional Mexican fighter. He doesn't throw a ton of punches. He's not right in front of you all the time. He's got that great aggressive head movement, which Jack Dempsey used to talk about, the aggressive head movement, because it makes guys shell up because he's so explosive and he's so twitchy, he can fire those combinations. And then he's got world-class power. Even as he's moved up in weight, at 68, he's still dropping guys. He's not finishing them like he used to, but he dropped Charlo with a guy who didn't want to exchange. That's hard to do. He dropped John Ryder, who's super tough, and that fight, I think John really showed up, unlike the Munguia fight. So the power's still there. It's impressive.
What about the counterpunching? That's still something you think he's world-class at?
I do, because he's one of those guys. So he's not a you-turn, me-turn fighter, which you see guys like that. They'll never get to a certain level.
Sure.
It's the guys who punch with you. Those are the dangerous guys, the counterpunchers that punch with you.
Baby.
Yes. But Marquez was incredible because he would counterpunch with combinations. Canelo's more of a 1-2 kind of punch kind of guy. Once he got you banged up, then he really starts to let his hands go. But otherwise, he's a one single shot. But his precision and his power combined makes him extremely dangerous. And I'm curious to see how this fight turns out, especially early on. Because, Munguia, he's a super tough guy, but he's got a lot of holes.
Dude, we were talking about with Bob Santos. Even Bob was saying, if you actually look at the numbers, statistically, he doesn't get hit a lot. But when he does get hit, they fucking come smashing through the door.
I can't unsee Derevyanchenko and Munguia trading left hooks and
Tooth
Munguia
and
getting
nail.
rocked.
Yeah.
Getting rocked. I can't unsee that for this fight because I highly rate Munguia. I think he does a lot of things well that would trouble Canelo. I just don't know if he's ready yet.
Okay, but what about this? If I asked you what Munguia could do that would make his chances the best to win, is the answer volume?
I don't think he has any other choice. If he allows the pace to get slowed to a Canelo-style pace, it's going to be Canelo all day long. He's going to win the big eye-catching exchanges. That's the thing about Canelo. He lands big eye-catching shots. It's hard to give rounds, against him if they're close when he's blasting you with these counterpunches that are single shots and there's only 60 punches thrown in the round between the two guys. So at a slow pace, it's going to be Canelo all day long. But I agree. I think it's the volume. I think it's the pressure. I think it's the pace. It's youthful exuberance. It's being able to put a pressure and make Canelo uncomfortable and make the old man fight uphill.
Also, like people would, listen, he fought Charlo, who was is a great champion in his normal weight class. But dude, we just had Munguia sitting next to him.
He's huge.
He's fucking way bigger than Charlo.
And he looks healthy. He looks good.
Yeah.
He's not drawn. He looks
got a work
confident.
ethic too. He's a student of the game.
Absolutely. I think Freddy is a big asset.
Obviously every boxer is different, every era is different, but is there any kind of underlying Freddy Roach style? Not him per se, but what he does for his fighters?
I think at this point, Freddy is a specialist coach. You're coming to Freddy, and he's going to find something. He found that right hand in the Ryder fight against the Southpaw, which was really good. I never thought Munguia had a right hand. He was using a killer right hand. He was looping it. He was throwing it straight. He used to just put it out there just to land the left hook. In that fight, he made it a real weapon, which against Southpaw is great. He did something similar to Manny Pacquiao. Remember, he found that right hook. Never had a right hook.
Manila Ice, baby.
Exactly.
He got Cotto to believe in his left hook again, which he stopped doing after the first Margarito fight.
Yep. Great point. Yeah, so I think he's more of a specialist coach at this point. He picks and fine-tunes one little thing, and he makes it perfect. And I think that's what makes him really dangerous in the fight, because you got to get a youthful guy anyway. You got a young, strong, big guy anyway. Just fine-tune a couple things and becomes that much more dangerous.
Or just a couple more for me.
Well, he's got a hot plate of food.
I know. Just a couple more.
I got to do a show, too.
All right, very, very, very quick.
Yep.
How much of a chance are you giving Frank Martin to beat Tank Davis? I like Frank's game. Can I say that?
I like Frank a lot. I think he's one of those guys. He's like a workhorse. He's like an iron horse kind of guy. He's like super tough, super durable. I picked him against who was that kid? Rivera. Again, because of that reason. Everybody was like, "Oh, what do you think about it?" I'm like, I don't know. I got a feeling that he's just a harder dude, and he can figure it out and grind it out. But Tank is just different, man. I really highly rank Tank. With his power, his counterpunching, and his boxing IQ. It's way better than people give him credit for. I don't give him a huge chance in that fight.
All right, last one. I think you are now working with my boy Jimmy Smith.
Yes.
At Pro Box TV.
Yeah, I'm going to see him in a couple minutes.
Do you guys film out of Florida?
Yeah, because he's in South Florida as well.
Yeah, all right. Well, Chris Algieri, man, thanks for coming through.
Absolutely.
We appreciate it. There he is.
By the way, love your show.
He has a great cooking book. You should read it one day.
I would love to.
Fighter's Kitchen. I should have brought some.
Fucking A. Next time, bring some.
Yeah, I will.
We'll pimp it. We'll pimp it for you. There he is. Chris
Algieri, one half of Inside Boxing Live, okay?
Yeah. The non-HIV half.
Okay, wow. Can we put some respect on Dan Canobio's name? While you were talking to Chris, I took down part of your plate. It was fantastic.
No, I thought this was a shared plate,
It
Dan.
was. Now it's yours, okay?
Oh, okay.
He's
yeah,
such
so
a
shared.
nice guy, Right.
Dan, can you hop on? Yeah, let's get Dan on here. All right, so this is Dan Canobio. The other half.
Well, we'll kick him off for Canelo in a second.
Yeah, well, Canelo will be here eventually. Yeah, we got some time. All right, here we go. Dan Canobio, the man, the myth, the legend.
The heir to the throne of all things CompuBox.
There he is.
Yeah. And wait, are you going to fight your brothers for that heir one day or what?
You've seen the show Succession?
Yes.
Yeah.
Probably play out something like that.
Exactly like that. Yes.
How many brothers do you have?
3 brothers, 1 sister.
And in terms of age, where do you rank?
I'm the 4th youngest.
Jesus.
I got a younger brother. I got a 47-year-old sister, 46-year-old brother.
Where do they get off having kids that old in the Canobio family?
Canobio's Bob and Seal.
Dan, you love a good batch of boxing batshit weirdness like I do. Canelo trying to walk down Oscar at the presser yesterday was like, yeah, give me some more of that. What do you make of all that?
So we knew that something was going to happen. Like, Oscar's on a heater right now. He's focused. He's showing up more. And
from the Garcia, like, he feels energized from that?
Even before that. I feel like Golden Boy, I feel like it's in one of the best spots right now. They're putting on consistently good fights. Oscar is front and center now at every fight. What's not the case. If you heard his speech before he went after Canelo yesterday, he's like, listen, there were times where I wasn't at my fighters' events. There were times where I wasn't doing any of this stuff, but now I am. And I thought it was interesting. There's Canelo Alvarez right there.
Oh, I think they may be...
Am I getting bumped?
I don't know
You're good
yet.
for right now. We'll put you on when it's time to go.
There's Canelo.
There he is.
Looking good. Looking good.
We got the thumbs up from Canelo, which obviously means he didn't watch Morning Combat when I said he was ducking Benavidez. You know, that's just what it obviously means, right?
And they'll definitely bring that up in the first thing.
It looked like he dropped about like 7 to 10 pounds from yesterday.
He's lean as shit.
He's leaning out. I wouldn't say I was shocked by what Oscar did yesterday. My point is that he's a little more focused now, Oscar, and you knew he was going to come out guns blazing. You knew he was going to say something crazy. I didn't think he was going to go that prepared statement. Put some fucking respect on my name.
And then bringing up the drug tests and then you got Canelo bringing up when you tried to steal money from me in Golovkin.
Insane. Like I'm not going to say
kitchen utensils and stuff.
Oh yeah, if you translate the Spanish, I
sent it to my wife, and she goes, "There's a lot they're leaving out."
Yeah, I love that. When Canelo wanted to get nasty and dirty, he went Spanish.
Yes.
And when he wanted to be a little more civil, he went English. That was something. Our guy over here, Mitch, who's helping us out, doesn't know much about boxing.
Mitch Kumstein.
Mitch Kumstein. And I was like, hey, watch this. Like, something's going to happen here. Something crazy's going to happen.
I had the opposite. I wasn't even thinking about it.
No.
So I was actually typing, and then I heard him put some fucking respect on my
Dude,
name.
I put that clip on TikTok. It has 3 million views right now.
Whoa. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Good thing the government's banning it, right?
Well, that sucks for us. I hate TikTok. Sometimes they take their content down.
Dude, TikTok is better than any other social media platform.
No, it's great.
Because the ability to go viral is so much higher.
Yeah, we are doing numbers on
Luke
social
loves
media.
going viral.
Dude, we got 32 million views last week for Ryan Garcia.
Holy shit.
In one
Dude,
week.
that fight was so much bigger than I thought it was going to
It
be.
exploded. And now we're talking about freaking PEDs.
So, hold on, do you think the commission's almost certainly going to overturn the result?
Yeah.
But we were talking with Ariel earlier. How big is the rematch? Do they do a rematch at 147, you think?
This honestly added juice to a rematch. I didn't think a rematch was going to happen without this controversy now. I think it's a built-in fight right there. It's up to Ryan Garcia.
Match, the element of it.
Well,
the weight wasn't enough, but the weight plus the
Yes.
PEDs is enough.
The thing now is, like, the hardest thing to do after this fight was to kind of gauge what Ryan Garcia's going to do next, because we don't have a weight class for him. He's a wild card. But now with this, all right, he can try to make the weight. They can go to a catch weight. There's a lot of storylines here for a rematch, especially if they take the win away, which I think they're going to do. Like, New York State doesn't mess around. That's the toughest commission around there. So they're not going to mess around. They're going to suspend him. There's going to be some type of suspension. They're definitely going to overturn the fight if these levels show up. Because you guys just talked to Chris Algieri.
Yeah.
It's all allegedly right
And maybe
now.
we can go back and turn over Lamont Peterson versus Khan, by the way.
I mean, it's a slippery slope.
Hey, that was a great moment in DC sports history.
This is a slippery slope.
Man
We're
with the
going
black
to start
hat.
overturning decisions left and right.
There it is.
Tell the folks how they can watch your show.
You can watch us Inside Boxing Live YouTube page. You can follow along on all the social media. We're part of ppv.com now. Stream the fight tomorrow night on ppv.com. Join me, or Saturday night. Join me, Algieri, Lampley, Lance Pugmire in the live interactive chat.
Wow, that's so. When you say live interactive chat, is it video? Is it tag? Like what?
Chat. Well, we're just chatting.
Okay.
Just chatting.
I will say this. You know,
AOL stuff?
I love your coverage for a lot of different reasons. But if I'm being dead serious, one of my favorite things about your coverage is that
His smile.
Well, yeah, because everyone in boxing is kind of they're kind of just like grumpy about the state of things. Dude, your coverage, and I mean this sincerely, is joyful.
Yeah, thank you. That's what I go for. It's a very negative space, and I try to highlight the weird, try to highlight the fun, try to highlight the positive. It's very hard to do in boxing.
It is hard to do.
But
There's a lot
I
of
try
weird-
my best. I try my damn best to try to highlight what is good about this sport and what's fun and embrace the circus. Because
How
it's 100% a
perfectly
circus.
gross is Adrian Broner versus Blair the Flair Cobbs going to be? Hopefully they'll put
Is
it
that
in a
BLK
highlight.
Prime? What is
yeah,
that?
they hope. Don
Famio?
King. Hopefully they put it in a highlight.
They're doing the Jorge and Nate Diaz fight.
They got some money then. That's
There it is.
disgusting.
There it is.
Despicable.
The AB fight?
I'll still cover it with a smile.
There he is. All right, Dan Canobio.
Dan Canobio, thank
thanks
you
for
for your
coming through, my
time.
friend.
Thank you for being a friend in this business. Canelo Alvarez in
And thanks
minutes.
for my plate. I appreciate it.
In minutes, Saul Canelo Alvarez, and boy, do we have a lot to talk to him about. Luke, how do we?
Here, can we take this? Let's take this food off if you don't mind. Yeah, here we go. Don't lose it though, because I'm hungry. Thank you, though.
So was
I will
that
eat it later.
was that indecent of me during the Algieri interview to just take down like 4 bites of that?
I mean, you are not known as a pro, so.
But I didn't. I was looking at if Munich was putting the camera on me. I didn't want the Guaylo to come out. You know, I didn't want the. You know what I'm talking about? I didn't want to.
You didn't want Big Trouble in Little China?
No, I did not. I mean, I'm already trying to call myself White Magic these days, so I got enough Big Trouble in a few different countries.
That's
but,
hilarious. Oh, here's Hercules. Hercules Gomez was tweeting about us.
Hercules Hernandez? What?
Dude, so a fun fact.
Yes.
Hercules Gomez played for the U.S. men's national team in soccer. Hold on.
What era? What position?
He, I think, finished out in the early 2000s.
Okay. So was he on the 94 team?
I don't know. I don't think it was 94. But his brother, Ulysses Gomez, fought in the UFC. They are brothers, Ulysses and Hercules. And they were both pro athletes.
I went to school with this Thai kid in middle school. His name was Thunder, and his brother's name was Hurricane. And this is a true story, Luke, okay?
I'm going to tell him to come
And
say
one
hi.
time, Thunder did a spinning back kick during a playground fight and just like knocked a tooth out of a kid's mouth, and it was glorious.
What's up? I'm okay right now, but thank you, though.
Thank you. No,
we have a
I'm doing
Canadian
well, thank
staffer, and they are by default the nicest and best staffer that we have.
Yeah.
Manich, you're fired. Get the fuck out.
Wow,
All right.
Munich representing Bethlehem, Pennsylvania over there, Munich. There you go, putting some respect on his hometown. How come you don't talk about our camera guy Brick at all?
He's Switzerland. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, if you get a name Brick, you're definitely a drug mule.
is that
right?
short for something? Ah, okay,
Oh,
okay,
there
okay,
it is.
okay.
I was hoping it was like Clint Eastwood in The Mule. Did you see that movie?
Not in a long time.
It just came out a couple years ago.
Okay, well, never then. Yeah.
All right, all right. Great guests were continuing to populate here on this live show.
I told Hercules Gomez to come by. I don't know where he
Shout out
is.
to DraftKings, our partner. Shout out to Anios.
I'm going to have some.
Anios of
Oh, you know what? Hand me the one with the...
the artisanal mezcal.
Artisanal, you mean?
Artisanal mezcal. Well, you're just going to... Wow. Take it down or what? Take it down? Downtown?
Oh, smell that.
It smells like.
Smells amazing.
It does
Lime.
smell. Yeah. See, I don't. So is mezcal?
Oh, it's got like citrus on it.
It's in the tequila family, right?
Yes.
You know,
there's a lot of different ways to explain it, but the taste profile is it's smokier.
Matt Snyder, you know him, right? Formerly of Showtime, now of Morning Combat and all the Smoke Productions.
Yeah, he's a drunk.
He's a connoisseur of mezcal.
I know.
Right?
He's also a weirdo, but yes, that is true. That
Okay.
actually smells great. I don't even like drinking. That smells great.
Hey, Room Service Diaries, are we still doing it tonight?
Yeah, we should be.
Well,
yeah.
maybe this will be the one that we call out Big Bang Zang, and we just,
We're going to bang each other.
each other. That is just the greatest soundbite.
I was like, dude,
ever.
which asshole told him to say that?
I think it was
Someone wrote that and was like, yo,
wasn't
say
that a
this
Frank
shit.
Warren, Queensberry Promotions? See, in Britain?
No, but it was Alabama Power,
they're
and then
cheeky.
he's Big Bang, and then they did the whole
but
thing.
they're cheeky in Britain. That's what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean?
Dude, my
They're a little
daughter
cheeky.
now is calling me that when I make a joke. She'll be like, stop being cheeky. I'm like, who the fuck told you that word?
Wow.
You know who it was? Bluey. Bluey did that.
Hey, what about that weirdo that she likes that you told me about? That's touring Blippy?
She's not into Blippy anymore. I got in trouble because...
That child molester Blippy?
No, he's not child molester, but I taught her to say Blippy is a moron. And she went to school and then told all the other kids that Blippy was a moron. And so that got back to my wife, who then asked me, he's like, did you teach your daughter to say Blippy is a moron?
Of course you did, yes.
And I was like, yes, as a matter of fact, I did.
All right. We are... Oh, for sure,
Yeah.
sure.
All right,
Good
so let's
call.
set this up, BC.
Yeah,
So-
Canelo will be here in a few minutes, and we continue to get fired up for all things Canelo versus Munguia, the undisputed super middleweight championship at stake. Saturday, main event of the PBC pay-per-view on Prime Video, on DAZN, on ppv.com. Canelo will be here in 2 minutes, but Luke...
He doesn't need a translator anymore, by the way.
No,
Not easy
he's
to
come
do.
around on that because for a while he knew and understood English. He didn't want to speak it publicly. I think it all goes back to that Jim Gray interview at the Floyd weigh-in where Jim Gray was like, "Are you ready?" And he was like, "I was born ready."
Yeah.
And I think like a lot of us in the media maybe made fun of him. We're assholes, you know what I mean?
People, dude, even Oscar was making fun of him.
Oh,
for his
because
accent.
to be fair, when Canelo yesterday was talking to
I'm
Dan
gonna fuck
Rafael in
him,
the
yeah.
scrum, he was like, they were like, "Would you really have punched him?" He was like, "Yeah, if he came closer, I would have fucked him."
But that's because in Spanish they don't have turn up or turn down or any kind of thing where you're adding something at the end of the verb. They don't have that. So when they kind of translate in their mind, they miss the last part of it.
Turn down for what?
Turn
right?
down for what? Turn down for
Like
what?
You know what I mean? Yeah.
What are we doing?
So Canelo versus Munguia, I think at the very least. How is this fight not fun?
It's going to be
At
action
the very
oriented.
least, right?
Here's the thing. I could see it going 6 rounds and no more. I could see that. Or I could see it having like a one-sided 6 rounds and then Munguia kind of storm back late. I
Yes.
could see that.
The one thing
just
about
the same.
Munguia, he fights well under duress. You can't hurt him. I mean, Derevyanchenko was almost hurting him with some stiff counter jabs at some points. But he weathers the storm well. He comes back after being hurt with combinations. He is constantly pushing forward. It's just this idea that maybe Canelo still has it at 33 enough to not only keep Munguia off, but to pick him apart with those big shots that get the judge's attention and get it done. But I've been saying it all week, been saying it all build, dude. He's going to have to eventually, at some point in this fight through Munguia to get it done, right?
Yeah.
Because he's not going to stop coming forward.
Munguia's, you got to put him away. He will be there in your face, working. And that's the issue. It's like, how much of that is he going to get a chance to do?
What do you make of what Max Kellerman? Wow. Sorry, I was distracted there for a second. Max Kellerman is not in the building. Canelo Alvarez to join us.
We're waiting on Canelo.
Sorry, Jim Lampley will be joining us as well in the future. I turned off the highway and I suddenly lost track of.
I was talking about this with you the other day. Like, dude, Max Kellerman got laid off from ESPN and just disappeared.
Well, he may have a non-compete, maybe. Although that's
okay, but he's not
going away.
tweeting. He's not
Yeah.
doing anything. He just went radio silent. I wish I could do that. Just like get a fat
You
check.
can just walk away. At
No.
any point. Go move to
Not
Colombia.
without the fat check first.
Spend all. You'll live like a king, like Maidana did after the Floyd fights.
Oh my
right?
God, dude! I mean, the amount of listen, an American salary on either a Latin American or a European life is a nice life. Trust me when I tell you that.
Okay, Saturday has the potential to be Canelo's most difficult fight physically since.
Ooh, great question. Physically.
Physically. where he's getting hit, where he's absorbing a fight, right? Because Canelo has a way of.
Well, you would say Bivol, but that's different.
That is that. Bivol's actually probably the answer, to be
Because
fair.
he was getting pushed around.
He was getting pieced up, yeah.
So, okay, but that was 175. So we're saying 168 and lower.
You got to go to the Golovkin rematch.
The second fight, not the third.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's probably the
And he
most
walked
physical.
through hell to win that fight. I mean, he did. That's why again, like scoring, you can draw either way, but like he walked through some fire that no one has done to Golovkin before, and was able to turn that fight in his direction. He is a real man, Canelo. That's why I don't take pleasure in trying to do this whole, is he ducking? Does he have enough money in the bank in terms of the fan goodwill to where it doesn't matter? You know, I do get a lot of Canelo fans coming after me being like, dude, what else would this guy have to accomplish where your keyboard warrior
if he stopped today, we've talked about this before, if he stopped today and this fight never happened, he's still going into the Hall of Fame.
He's still in the conversation for greatest Mexican fighter of all time.
He doesn't need Benavidez to do that.
Yes.
That part is 100% true. No doubt about it. We're ready for him whenever. Yep, no problem. So again, we're just moments away from getting Canelo. He will sit here. By the way, he's got like all his team. They all have the same gear on and everything. It all looks pretty dope.
You gotta give him credit for one thing. He stayed with the same trainer and manager duo with Jose Chepo Reynoso and his trainer Eddie Reynoso since day one. Since like
day one.
15 years old, turning pro.
You don't.
Canelo's been a pro for 19 years. 19 freaking years.
What's the longest relationship you can think of in MMA between trainer and student that was like really successful? John Jones and Greg Jackson's been a long one, but it's more so Brandon Gibson than it is Greg Jackson.
Frankie Edgar didn't have the same guy start to finish, right? He moved around.
I don't think he did. I think he moved around a little bit. Mm-hmm.
Did GSP have Faraz the whole journey?
I think he mostly did. I don't know if he did entirely, but for a big long stretch.
He brought in Freddy Roach for a bit. That was cool.
Yep, he brought him in. Yep, there he is. All right, they're stopping for Canelo.
Max Holloway. Good call,
with the Gracie Technics, yes.
You know, we should get Manich a microphone. We probably should.
Yeah, we probably should.
You know what I mean?
Probably should.
All right, Canelo
we're ready.
is
Don't worry.
a couple tables away, on his way over, of course. Not wearing the pajamas this week.
You'll take us in, right?
I'll take us in. But Canelo is fired up and ready.
I forgot about the pajamas. He always wears the pajamas to the
At 33
to the weigh-in.
years old.
Yeah.
His 65th professional fight. 19 years as a professional. People forget that.
Jesus.
People forget that, right? 2005, 15 years old, basically.
Yeah.
If my math is correct here. He's been on. Headlined the first pay-per-view in 2013 against Floyd. The day we met, the week we met, Luke.
That's right.
That's how I met your mother,
room.
fans. All
in
right?
this room.
Yes, and he's still on top.
Here we are 11 years later.
And he's not on top in like a name value way. He's on top meaning he's in the top 5 pound for pound, and he's the undisputed super middleweight champion of the world, right?
Yeah, all the belts. But he also is the biggest name.
I think he's the biggest star, especially since
he's the
Anthony
biggest
Joshua
star
lost. It was close. Joshua and him were head-to-head for a bit. They were head-to-head for a bit in terms of like who's the power broker in this sport.
That's true.
But Canelo still standing as he makes his
way
over here.
Yeah, we're ready. No worries.
Oh, here he comes.
All right, he is the biggest face in the sport of boxing?
He's the face of boxing for a decade plus here.
There he is.
One of the most popular and
Mr.
successful
Alvarez,
fighters
nice to see
of
you.
this era. Saul, Canelo, Alvarez. Canelo, let's start right here. And by the way, thank you for the time, buddy.
Appreciate it.
You've been fired up lately in ways that I haven't seen in a while. Whether you're telling the fans how many more names do you need to see before you'll be happy, or whether you are getting out of your chair to walk down Oscar. I haven't seen heel Canelo. You know that term heel, which means in pro wrestling bad guy? I haven't seen heel Canelo in a while. What gives
He's
this
not
fight
taking any
camp?
shit, right?
Man, I always respect everything and any person out there, but I always say, for every action is a reaction, and I'm a fighter. But things happen.
All right, let me ask you this, because our role as the media, we got to make critical decisions, and we're not, you're not always going to love what we write. We're not always going to love. Do you remember things? Do you put them in your head like Michael Jordan? Are you a killer in that regard, where you're like, oh, I remember what Brian Campbell wrote about me 3 years ago. Oh, he thinks I'm ducking that guy. I mean, does that motivate you when you hear people saying things like that?
Yeah, of course. Everything I got everything, everything they say or they want me to do or not, whatever, I got that for motivation. For me, I put all that energy in a good
Sure.
way. So I feel like I'm very strong on my mind. So
I have to ask about yesterday's presser, but I want to ask it in this way. Did you expect something from Oscar? Did you expect that he was going to come throwing grenades?
You can expect from Oscar, you can expect anything like that. He's just throw shit in for his mouth. He don't know anything about being promoted their fighter or care about their fighter. They always leave their fighters when they need him. In the biggest stage, he leave their fighters. He don't care about his fighter. The attention is for Munguia, and he don't care. He want the attention, all the attention. You know, you saw yesterday, but it's nothing surprised me from him.
So, but do you think he did it on purpose? Because like, I'm gonna mess with Canelo.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's why he did it.
He did it on purpose, yeah, because he wants attention. That's what.
But no, what I mean is,
other than that, when the people talk about Oscar, it's drugs or alcohol or something bad.
Kitchen utensils.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you say fish nuts in
He really
Spanish?
enjoyed that.
What do you mean? Are you saying that or the?
I say it.
Yeah.
I say it because I hear it.
Ah, right, yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
Interesting. No, I was making a joke there. I was making a joke here. We were trying to look at the challenge that you have in Jaime Munguia. Big, physical, fights in the traditional Mexican style. There's a chance, win or lose, this could be one of the more physically demanding fights you've had in a while. Do you expect that he's going to, at times, corner you, lean on you, rough you up? Are you expecting this to be a war that the Mexican fans that all fans are hoping?
It's gonna be a good fight, for sure. His style and my style is gonna be a great fight. I don't know how many rounds, but it's gonna be a great fight.
What do you think is your biggest advantage over him?
I have more experience. I'm stronger. More talent, so a lot of things.
Okay, fair enough. But I guess what I'm trying to point out is styles make fights, right?
Yeah.
So one thing you're one of the best at is elite counterpunching. And I was actually talking to this with Bob Santos. If you look at the numbers, he doesn't take a lot of damage in terms of how much, but when they land. He takes big shots. Surely this is something you've seen. I wonder to what extent do you plan for that? How do you feel about that when you're training?
No, I think he's a good fighter. He throws a lot of punches. He's strong because they hit him before and he handled good. But Canelo is different. Canelo is different, and he gonna experience something different in Saturday night. I feel better than ever, and you wanna see Saturday.
Do you feel like you seemed, we were there at the Charlo fight.
Mm-hmm.
You seemed very rejuvenated through that experience, and now of course with this training and you got this weird thing going with Oscar, but Jaime's not really saying anything. How do you?
No, I don't respect Jaime. I respect Jaime, and I really feel proud about him. He's a Mexican and what he's doing and everything. I feel proud about it, but we don't come here to play and say anything, right? I come to do my job, and is winning, but I respect Jaime a lot, and I feel proud about my what he's doing in boxing for Mexico.
So I did see you say that you could have 2 fights left, 3 fights left, 4, even 10. It's how you feel. But I guess what I would ask is, how much is retirement on your mind? Not so much right now, but in the course of the year.
I don't thinking about it. I have just 1 year, a bad year because of my hand injury, but right now I feel in my best. I feel in my prime right now when I'm able to train like that and no injuries. So I feel in my prime.
And Munguia, okay, so he's bigger than Charlo. It's obviously one thing, right? But much different. What would you say is his best talent? What is he good at?
No, he's good. You don't see that, but he's smart. He know when he's throwing, he feint. He throw a lot of punches too. He know how to box, but like I say, it's different. I'm different, and he's gonna experience something different Saturday night.
He's different. We're gonna find out Saturday night.
By the way,
Canelo,
I saw your wife say that you guys would go to Croatia for vacation. No one would know you there. Yeah. I could have told you they would have known you there.
Yeah.
They definitely were going to know you there.
They know him around the world.
Yeah, my wife when married, he said, we want to go to the honeymoon to Croatia to have relax and everything. Okay, let's go. And we went to the streets and everybody.
Right away. I want you to get my eyes tattooed on your forearm like Canelo has of his wife. That's wonderful. Canelo, thank you for your time.
Thank you so
Best
much.
of luck
Really
Saturday.
appreciate it, Canelo.
Thank you.
Can't wait to see the fight. Thank you so much. There he is, the face of boxing, Canelo Alvarez. Thank you so much. Thank you.
He's
There he
steward
is.
and ambassador of this great sport,
Yep.
Canelo. Good golfer, too, by the way, Luke.
Yeah, I saw him square up with Steph Curry. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Steph did it for a little bit and then was like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good
Thanks.
with that.
Oh yeah, so we have to do the let's reset. How about that, BC? Let's reset. Sure. We just talked to Canelo. We talked to Jaime Munguia, but we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the good folks at DraftKings.
Absolutely.
DraftKings, our partners, our friends, and so much more. But they've got a deal for the fans.
So
do
thank
they
you,
not?
in fact, DraftKings, for being a friend, right?
Thank you for being a friend.
Travel down
The road and back again?
Yeah, I mean, their heart is true, but Luke, they got a great deal when you're talking about the combat sports action this Saturday. Not just UFC 301, not just so many things going on. Canelo versus Munguia. How about first-time customers, listeners of our podcast?
That's right.
How about if you put $5 down on a bet to see who wins Canelo versus Munguia? You can win $200 in bonus bets.
Yes, instantly. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Do it right now. There we go. A little bit of shouting. And you're going to use the promo code MK, literally the letter M and then the letter K, that's it. And when you sign up, and when you do, you put that $5 bet, you're going to get 200 in bonus bets right away.
Right away. You want to bet on the UFC this weekend? You want to bet on your horse to win? Go after it. Download the DraftKings app today. $5 will get you $200 in bonus bets only if you use our code MK. And remember, if sports betting is not yet available in your state, hey, don't worry. You can still join in on the action and all the fun with the DraftKings Daily Fantasy Sports.
Also, let's remind everyone, too, if you're asking, like, hey, you guys are still an MMA show. Yes. But boxing is doing a lot more things.
We've always been a combat sports show, Luke.
Yeah, we've always been combat sports, mostly MMA, but, certainly right now boxing is having a hot moment. Also this week, we will talk about UFC 301 tomorrow. We're doing MK Live tomorrow, 11 a.m. in the East. We'll have plenty of UFC coverage for you there. But right now, the biggest story in combat sports is this one, or at least the biggest fight anyway.
Yeah. The biggest story is Canelo versus Oscar / Munguia.
Slash David Benavidez.
/ Benavidez, yes,
Yeah.
There you go. This has been fun, Luke. We may catch a straggler or two on the way out here, but we got Munguia, we got Canelo.
We got a bunch of good folks.
All right, we got Dan Canobio on there. I mean,
And we have a guy over there with a backpack that's glowing.
Yes, there's
the
a
video
lot of,
screen
there's a lot
on
of
the backpack.
There's a lot of peripheral weirdness in this room at the moment, but I'm here for it. Right?
Yeah, I mean, this looks like a collection of garbage pail kids.
Would you say that there is a set of average to good tattoos or awful tattoos across the board here?
Well, Canelo has some good ones, so he offsets some of that.
I'd say it's King Ryan's tattoos.
I don't.
All right.
I don't.
All right.
Now, I would need to see them up close to really judge. I'm sure they're well done. I'm sure he paid good money for it, but I don't love them. But again, let he who's without sin cast the first stone.
I was going to hit Canelo with a question about Ragai, and then the media people were
they
doing
cut us
jumping
off.
jacks
They
to be
cut
like,
us
he's
off,
got to
yeah.
go. He's got to go.
When they give you the
hook, the Apollo hook, yeah.
If you go 3 seconds past that, they start losing their minds. So when they give you the hook, it's time to roll. So
yeah,
what can you do?
But the hook brings me back because I grew up in the 90s.
The hook. Dude, did you see what Steve Ursag, who, by the way, here's some UFC coverage.
Suck it in if you ring ting ting, right?
No.
Oh.
Did you see what he said his favorite band was?
Oh, it was all old school in there, right?
Yes,
it was like Third Eye Blind or some shit.
Close.
Matchbox 20.
Matchbox 20.
Oh, okay.
Matchbox 20
the thing
was
is,
his favorite band.
The first record still really holds up. Yourself or someone like me.
It does.
Especially if you were a 90s broken-hearted, lonely dirtbag like myself. Freddie knows, right? Freddie says, no. Hey, Hall of Famer.
Wow.
Okay? All right. The PR maven to the stars there. Downtown Freddie over there. Great to see you, as
there
always.
There he is. Hey, have a seat. Have a seat. Come on, have a seat.
I think are they getting us people?
I don't know. Okay, no worries.
Great to see
Have
you.
a seat. This is Hercules Gomez, everybody.
Oh, yes.
From ESPN, formerly of the U.S. men's national team. And I was telling, this is Brian Campbell, my co-host here.
Hercules, pleasure.
I was telling him, Hercules, that folks don't know this. Your brother Ulysses
Yeah.
was a flyweight who fought in the UFC during the UFC on Fox era.
Yeah. His heyday, Chachi Palace, he was actually 2-time champ.
Wow.
Yeah, he was really good, jiu-jitsu specialist. He's actually a police officer here in Las Vegas. He lives in Henderson. He's going to be doing the walkouts for the fights, all fighters.
That's
so he'll be one of the
awesome.
police
That's awesome.
officers in the Canelo-Mungia fight.
I bet he's armbarred a fair share of derelicts and street.
And his
merchants.
older brother.
And his older
And
brother.
his older brother.
Hey, what national teams did you play on in the
US.
world of
The
the
US.
No, what years? I guess.
Oh,
Are you
years,
on World Cup rosters?
First go was 2007. Last go was 2013.
Biggest footballer you played against?
In terms of what, size or scope?
Wow, no, like world prestige.
Wow, that's a tough one because I was fortunate enough to play against Messi and Cristiano.
Fuck.
I played against. This is very difficult because those are the two in my book that are the biggest. But then Zidane, Figo, Roberto Carlos.
Wow.
I got to play against two generations of Real Madrid teams. 2005, Los Galacticos, that era, which was insane. And then 2012, here in Las Vegas, actually my hometown, when I was playing with Santos Laguna, we had a friendly match against them at Sam Boyd's. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Sam Boyd's. That's where the UNLV Rebels.
That's where Vince McMahon said, "This is the XFL."
Exactly. We got to play in that stadium versus it was a homecoming for me. And then they had Gareth Bell there. They had Xabi Alonso, who's now the Leverkusen coach.
Undefeated or this
undefeated?
Anyway.
Yeah. I think I just watching them earlier. Windsor. I don't know how they ended up there, but they're still undefeated. Ridiculous team. But yeah. Two sets of generational talented Real Madrid teams.
And so now you're at ESPN.
ESPN.
And I've actually told my wife about you because you do shows in English.
Yes.
And you do shows in Spanish.
Yeah, so...
How did that happen?
It's a great question. I don't know, but I'm just fortunate I'm doing it. So I was playing soccer my last year, 2016. Started dabbling in some media work. When I was with the Seattle Sounders, I was working with Fox. I did Copa America, which is the summer tournament for all the South American teams, kind of like their version of the Euros. And ended up where, I got the attention of a few networks, ESPN being one of them, and pretty much forced my hand into retiring. I was already in my last kind of days. You know how it is when you're an older athlete.
I know exactly what that's like.
But speaking to other athletes, you want to be in charge of your destiny, what's going forward, and what can come about it. Great opportunity came about to go to Bristol, and I was doing soccer only. I started getting comfortable in front of the mic, in front of the TV, and I always had an eye for other sports. Brought me back to Los Angeles to work in this show called Ahora o Nunca. We just got nominated for our
Now
first
or
Emmy.
Never?
Yeah, Now or Never in Spanish, exactly. There was the actual English Now or Never version of us. We're on ESPN Deportes. We do all sports. We dabble in all sports, but in the type of way that you would do pop culture dabbling in these sports. So we've had guys like Canelo on the show. We've had guys like, Jaime, my co-host right now, they'll have Jaime Munguia and whatnot. We've had pop culture, like movies, Jamie Foxx. We've had Dana White. We were just with Dana White at the Super Bowl. We've been to Super Bowl events. We've been to these type of fights before. We were at the last Canelo Triple G fight. So I get to dabble in some of these things, which is a kick for me.
So you're a combat sports fan because I'll notice sometimes you'll tweet about it. You'll retweet some of my stuff.
Yeah.
So obviously your brother fought in UFC. What is your combat sports fandom journey?
It's great question. So I am of the era where I had to go to a back room in Hollywood Video to find to find UFC videos.
Also pornography.
It's funny they kept both behind the curtain,
which is crazy, right? And it was back then like UFC 1, 2, and it was no weight classes. Like my fandom goes that far back, and then my brother, being a wrestler, just kind of gravitated toward jiu-jitsu. Actually, where he used to train a lot is Cobra Kai.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Simgo.
Yes.
Simgo's the guy who runs that school, or used to anyway.
Yes. He was there, and now, I just kind of, that's how pretty much I got into being an MMA fan.
But you're here. So are you here for ESPN, or are you just here as a fan?
No, I'm here for ESPN. I'm actually doing both shows that I have. So I'll do ESPN Deportes is Ahora o Nunca. We'll do it at 3:30 here live, and then I'll go live in English. This is Spanish. I'll go live in English for Football Americas, which is a strictly soccer-only show.
Good stuff.
And we'll get to do it here. It's great, man. Listen, it shows you what the ESPN's all about, entertainment. You know, we want to entertain fans, and they've given me the platform to do it, so I'm very lucky.
Well, dude, I love your stuff. I watch it. I'm trying to learn Spanish, so I'm trying to watch more programming.
I'm trying to watch more. I was just telling my co-host like what you do with the iPad in the background. You show where this fighter made a mistake.
Yeah.
I wish there was something like that in my universe when it comes to soccer. 'Cause I
Thierry
think it's
Henry
so
does a little
necessary.
bit of that.
Yes, but those are more game days and they're very surface level. You can't get that deep because you know how it is. You got do it in 45 seconds. It's very difficult. I love the way you guys break it down. I'm a big fan of both of you. I love what you guys do.
Well, tell your brother I covered all of his UFC fights and then some other ones as well. He was a great talent, and dude, I'm a big fan. So I really appreciate you stopping by. There he is. How can some of our listeners, if our viewers, get more views?
Listen, I do a lot of social media. It's at Hercules G. My name really is Hercules.
With a Z.
With a Z. Drugs were prevalent in the 80s, so my name really is Hercules. Or you can find me on ESPN Deportes, Ahora Nunca, or ESPN Plus. The show is Football Americas with my co-host, Sebastian Salazar. We do all things CONCACAF, so you don't have to be just a U.S. fan.
Sure.
Mexico, Canada, we got you covered. Costa Rica.
Last one for me.
Yes.
Is Real Madrid going to win Champions League this year?
I don't see how they don't.
Yes.
Wow. I knew you were a la Madrid.
Thank you so much, Hercules. I appreciate it.
guys.
Fuck you.
Right,
Fuck you.
Hercules, great to see you, brother. Appreciate
Steven.
that.
Oh, sorry. Well, that was Hercules Gomez. Okay.
Oh yeah. Stephen Espinoza will be joining us shortly.
Dude, so that dude's all over ESPN. All over. Every time I turn it on, I see Hercules Gomez. So, and have you ever seen his brother fight? Ulysses?
Yeah, I know the name. I don't remember any fights off the top of my head.
He fought. Who was the guy with like the green hair out of New Jersey? He fought him. Luis Gaudino.
Wow, that's a deep one.
He fought Luis Gaudino. I remember that one as well.
What weight class was Ulysses?
Flyweight.
There
Yeah, 125.
All right. Hey, Hercules says he's a big fan of what we do, all right?
I think he was being nice, but that is a very nice thing to say.
All right, then. Well, we're going to get the boss, our old boss. In a second there, former Showtime Sports president, now consulting with PBC. We should ask him about that.
We definitely should ask him about that.
Is.
Hey, we're ready when you are.
Oh, yeah. Let's bring him on in here.
I don't know what title to give him. Impresario is something?
Raconteur?
Yeah, Raconteur. But he is Steven Espinoza, former head of Showtime Sports, and a whole lot more. How are you doing, Steven?
I'm good. How are are you guys?
Good. We catch you every time we come to Las Vegas.
You guys, you know I'm not your boss anymore, so you're no longer obligated to put me on.
That's true.
You are a man in the know.
So this is genuine.
Right?
This is genuine.
Listen, we want some gossip.
Okay.
Right? We want some gossip.
First of all, last time we talked to you, you were consulting for the PBC. Are you with that movement? What is your situation?
What's the story there?
Essentially supervising TV production. So the live TV production, the gloves off, shoulder programming, a lot of the same things I was doing at Showtime, now doing for PBC.
Is the guy, because I watched both episodes on the flight over here, which are on YouTube if you haven't seen them, but obviously on Amazon as well. Is the narrator for that the same narrator that you used at Showtime?
It is. There are some differences, but Barry Pepper, who's a fantastic actor and now a big boxing fan, I'm surprised he didn't come to this one, but he comes to a lot of them.
All right. Yesterday, Canelo and Oscar.
Because you were Oscar's lawyer, you worked for Golden Boy. You've been around these guys forever. You've seen stories that we don't even know that we'd love to know.
I could have participated in that spirited debate as well.
What did you make of that?
I thought the first thing I thought was the timing was interesting because you didn't see that antagonism at the kickoff press conference. You didn't see that energy from Oscar.
That's right. I hadn't thought about that.
So that maybe I've become cynical boxing guy, or maybe that has long passed. But I'm thinking, is this a ploy? To get under his skin, maybe throw him off a little bit, get some anger. I flash back strangely to De La Hoya Mayweather. And there was that press tour, and Floyd needled Oscar day after day.
He put the gold medal around the chicken's neck. I mean, it was some great moments.
He was stealing meals, all kinds of it. And Oscar admitted years later, he went into the fight so angry he wanted to take Floyd's head off, which is exactly the way not to fight Floyd Mayweather.
Right.
So if that had the impact, 8 weeks later, who's to say that this little confrontation isn't going to be a distraction 72 hours after the fact?
Here's what I can't figure out. So in your mind, it's definitely strategic that he did it. How much of it is because Ryan Garcia? This is because, so when that presser happened, we did not have any of the news about Ryan Garcia related to any potential anti-doping violations. Just the wave of enthusiasm he was riding from his upset over Devin Haney. How much of it was he emboldened by that?
I think he might have been put on edge. But here's the interesting thing. If it was strategic and intentional or not, clearly once the floodgates opened, like they both had a lot to get off their chest. This was not, hey, let's trade some stuff. There's like stuff that has been simmering and for years. That's not, anybody who's paying attention, that's not necessarily a surprise. There's been lawsuits between them. There's been conflict. But there was a lot there to unpack. And it just came flooding out for both of them.
In some ways, recently seems to be Oscar accusing Canelo of trying to get him banned from Fight Week here, in terms of going through the promoters, going through everybody involved. Is there truth in that? Does that matter in this?
No, I mean, look. There are always discussions in sort of these kinds of situations of what are your respective roles here. You're a co-promoter, you're not a co-promoter, like who's on the dais. It's all these details that, boxing hardcore fans love, and most people, it's sort of like, why are you guys, arguing about who's standing up on a press conference? Could you twist that into you're trying to get me banned when it was sort of like, no, this is a TGB promotion, it's going to be TGB. Now, I'm just using that as an example. No, yes, if you want to be melodramatic about it, are you banning me? No, you're just saying you're not going to have an active role on the dais. And is that banning? Probably not. Could you get yourself fired up over that if you wanted to? Okay.
All right, so I got a million questions for you. Mm-hmm. Jaron Ennis going to DAZN. It's probably a good move for him, right?
I understand why he did it. I've been high on the kid. I'm always going to support him. I'm proud of the role at Showtime that we played in developing him. I don't want to get into the details of his decision. That's for him to do. But I understand why he did it. I'm certainly not upset with him, and I'm hoping that I'll be there when he fights the next fight. Going forward. I think there are a lot of opportunities for him. Was that the best one? I'm not sure that it is, but that's a different story. But certainly, I don't blame him for, making that decision and going that route.
All right, August 3rd, Turki Al-Sheikh bringing a card, Riyadh season from Saudi Arabia to LA. PBC fighters, Golden Boy fighters, Eddie Hearn fighters showing up on it. In a weird way, this is, as a boxing fan, what we always wanted. But, is this the future? Is it sustainable? Is Al Haymon and Turki Al-Sheikh going to be breaking bread?
Well, I think, that's sort of the question because, I think the danger here, and this is nothing that the Saudis are doing wrong, but the history of boxing, says that, the sport also often becomes over-dependent on sources like this. And sort of, I think it's incumbent on all of us, I'm saying all of the sport, not the Saudis, this is not their problem, but to make sure that all levels of the sport are healthy and thriving. We can't just be all waiting for a call from one particular finance source, and everyone's saying, I want to get, the hit the lottery and get a big fight card, and no one else is doing any work or doing any promotion. We're all sitting around waiting for that. That's going to be the end of the sport. So I think, thrilled they're there. I'm thrilled these fights are happening. I'm even more thrilled that, these fights are going other places other than Saudi. I don't think it's nothing against Saudi. I don't think it's good for massive fights to all go to Vegas or all go to New York City or London.
Time
or
difference
Saudi.
And all that, yeah.
So I think it's a great card, fantastic. It's happening in LA, but I think let's make sure that the whole boxing ecosystem is healthy, and we're not just all waiting for these big cards and beholden to one guy to write a check.
Help me understand, if you have any thoughts on this, what do the Saudis get out of being involved with MMA? So here's what I mean. If you look at what they're getting out of boxing in terms of sports washing, PR, whatever, but they're actually solving, they're able to contribute in a massive way in boxing presently to deliver events and cards with regularity that would otherwise not be possible. But then they've got this investment with PFL, which is, people say it's $100 million, like it's a lot, it's not. And then they got this a UFC card. Now, granted, it's going to air on ABC, so that's something for them, I suppose. But it's not their best product, and the UFC, unless they're going to sell to them, that's all they're going to get. I understand why they're investing in boxing. I guess I don't really understand what the long-term play is with MMA, or maybe there isn't one. What do you think? I just dumped a lot on your plate there.
Yeah, there's again a lot to unpack there. I think the question is, what is the long-term objective there? In combat sports generally, is it? I mean, sports watching is easy to say, but sports watching generally would be Saudi events. Yes, I can't say if you're saying it's sports washing. LA does less of a sports wash than going to Saudi. Right. The idea is to, do that if you believe in that. So I'm not so sure that this isn't, there's not a business objective here. Like, what if the plan was, and it's a what if, I don't know anything, what if the plan was live golf in combat sports?
They're going to get the World Cup.
Right, but their ambitions are so huge across it. I mean, look at the inroads they've made in world soccer. You look at the inroads they've made in PGA just in a couple years. Look, what if they wanted to build a different form of TKO? They're saying, look, we've got boxing, we've got an alternate brand. Maybe it's heavier based in Europe than UFC is. They're going to be the leader in Europe. You're going to let UFC be the leader domestically. Who knows? But at this, it looks like, I don't think Live is sports washing. I mean, maybe it is, but I don't think that's their sole objective. I think that is a legitimate business objective. I don't think they're expecting to make a profit.
Oh, I see.
As an investment.
Right, so whereas with boxing, they don't even care if they make a profit.
Not yet. Not at this point.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, is this? Look, I don't think they're just going to throw it just for the hell, throw money at it for the hell of it. Essentially, they've got a lot of smart guys, and they're going to, want this to be an actual business venture. I think.
Got it. Okay. Canelo ever going to fight David Benavidez? Probably not, right? Probably not.
I'm like the one naive, optimistic guy, and this is so counter. You guys know, to me, being the naive, optimistic guy is like playing against type. I'm not. It's so out of character for him to avoid a tough fight that I'm not ready to say he's never going to do it. It's not going to happen on the timetable fans want. Fans wanted it yesterday. It's not going to happen yesterday. It may not happen in September, but I'm not going to close the book on that fight happening until he retires without it happening. I just don't think that's just not how he's built.
It's funny. I was just reminded of this. Not the last time you and I were here, because we were here for the Tim Tszyu fight, but the last time you were on the dais, you were sending shots people's way, sending it towards Dana White. Well, it seemed that way, right? Like it seemed like it was intended that way, and then he shot back. I'm just sort of curious about like the decision to do that and how you feel about it now that he fired back and everything.
No, like that's the funny thing. Like,
it was about live gates for folks who
it was like it was literally. I never thought it'd be taking a shot by him. I was, I was taking a shot at everybody else in boxing. Which is saying, look, these are huge events. Nobody else, if you look at the whole context of what I was saying, nobody else is doing events like this. In fact, this is how big, we've done 3 of these events this year. And, by comparison, like, UFC's never done one of those events. And not like, you haven't done one of those events. It's really difficult to do because UFC does a lot of events. So I understand, like, that's not the way it was taken, but I wasn't like, let me take a random shot. Like, I'm not out there like 50 Cent just starting beefs for the hell of it. I know that's been an ongoing one, supposedly. But no, like I didn't. That there were targets of of those shots, but they were not UFC. UFC was a stray bullet.
I do have to. I got one more. I got to squeeze in here. Have you at all followed the debate and sort of the story around MMA fighter pay? And there was a recent settlement or an announced settlement. They actually haven't completed the transaction of a antitrust lawsuit. But one of the things I have found is the culture is so different. Whereas, Canelo, we're on Canelo's, all of us here are on Canelo's schedule. And then in MMA, I find that the fighters, some of them care a little, most don't care at all, and then some are actively hostile to the idea that they're underpaid and they hate to talk about it. What do you make of why it is that way? Is it Stockholm Syndrome? Are we just all wrong about it? What's the issue?
I think it's tough to be an active participant in the system and take the position that you're getting ripped off at the same time. I'm not saying it's impossible. There are a lot of people who are like, I hate my job, I'm underpaid, and I'm still showing up to work every day. But there's something in it to say, look, I'm being exploited. This is not a fair pay structure. 13%, 15%, 18%, whatever your fighter revenue stream is not fair. And yet I am foolish enough to continue doing this. That there's some cognitive dissonance. So to do that, I think you've got to say, look, no, you guys you don't understand. You don't understand the business. The business is actually not what you say it is. So I understand that. What I don't understand is it seems to have switched. It seems like there was more sympathy for fighter pay 5 years ago than there is now, at least on the MMA side. It seems there's more hostility to fighters or others claiming that it's an unfair pay structure. And if anything, it should be the opposite, because there's far more information available to support the argument that it is unfair structure today than it was then. So why, it is, look, I don't want to get political, but, there's lots of evidence in other situations where you present someone who's committed to a certain cause with countervailing evidence, and it just makes them more committed to their own cause. Because God forbid that all these assumptions that I've built my life around or my identity around might be proven untrue, and how stupid what I looked at. So I don't care what you show me, I'm not going to admit I'm wrong, because that says that everything that I've believed and built my persona about over the last
And
X
that's
amount
why
of time.
Ryan Garcia accused Diddy of tainting his drug test on Twitter. That's why right there.
Yes, thank you, Brian.
Steven, I want to close with you. We got Al Bernstein in the bullpen with a rapid fire coming through, and we do appreciate your time. We could ask you a million questions. PBC's doubleheader coming up on June 15th is like kind of inventive for boxing in a way, to put two giant stars in separate fights, Gervonta Davis, David Benavidez, but like fights that like I gotta see what's going to happen here. It's been a slow start for PBC, but from Canelo to that card, there's momentum. What could the second half of this year look like for this brand?
Look, it's intentionally been a sort of walk before you run strategy. It's rollout. It's a new. People don't realize it's a new structure for PBC. They see Morrow and other guys and think it's all the same team. It's not.
Right.
It's a new process. It's a new platform. Everyone's getting their feet wet and becoming acclimated. The pace of the events will definitely pick up. Just because the first 2 or 3 have been pay-per-views, I mean, they're all pay-per-views. I know it's pointless to ask for some patience before people, draw conclusions and write the book on whatever this deal is going to be. But that's what I would say is, look, let's look at it after the first year and then, fire away at what the deal is and is not. But to draw after 2.5 events and say, here's what it is and here's why it's good and bad or not, there's a lot that has yet to be implemented that is being planned as we speak.
Well, that first event killed it when we showed up for the fight night. Absolutely. I don't see how this one won't be a banger in the main event on Saturday. And like we said, that doubleheader coming up.
Yeah, and there's, I don't want to jinx it, but, there's other names on that card as well.
Okay.
That are going to be, it will be an all-star card.
Let's get fired up for that.
I can't wait.
Get fired up for that shit.
Steven Espinosa, anything you want to plug before you go?
No, I have no plugs. I know some,
right.
although I am a big fan of Anillos.
Anillos.
Have you had it yet?
Yes.
Which
I
is
have
Spanish
had it.
for rings.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, which means of the finger variety, of the smoke variety, of the... See, he got what we were putting
I
out
don't
there.
know why I work with him.
Yeah, there it is.
I don't understand it.
The great Steven Espinosa.
Thank you, Steven.
Thank you, sir.
Good to see you guys.
Continued success for you and your
Good to
business
see you guys. See you guys
adventures.
Saturday night.
All right, there he is.
All right, Luke, I believe we have one more.
Just one more?
In Al Bernstein, unless we catch any strays or stragglers lingering
We got time.
around.
We got time. There he is.
Oh, yeah.
He was patient.
I mean, anytime you can get a Hall of Famer to sit down, Luke, okay? Somebody who's not just a Hall of Fame analyst, not just an actor in the Rocky movie franchises, but how about a crooner himself, the great?
What doesn't Al
the
Bernstein
great
do?
Al, I say this with
I got a
sincerity.
little news to share with you guys, too, by the way.
Okay, 1 second on that, and I can't wait. I say this with sincerity, and I tell you this all the time when we share the men's room at the same time. Don't think anything differently, okay? We're two guys that can just urinate next to each other.
Again, you're awful.
I mean, like, the best times of my life watching boxing was like early 90s, you and Charlie Steiner on ESPN on location, and you're still at it, and you're still incredible all these years
You're
later.
so nice.
If I could have your career, Alan, I'm not doing a joke, I'm not buttering you up for no reason.
We've talked about
you've
this
had
privately.
one of the greatest careers that is not over that you could hope for in this game.
I appreciate that. Well, that's very nice of you to say that. And that period of doing those things and doing the Top Rank Boxing Series with Barry Tompkins, of course,
My favorite duo.
You're, and we share that in common because he was a partner of yours. And by the way, now I'm going to throw flowers your way and to you guys both. I love the show, and you, my friend, are a fine boxing broadcaster.
Thank you.
And you know I've said this to you many, many times.
In the
I've
men's room,
shared
yes.
it to you when you're getting ready for a show or whatever, that you know how to do it. And that's
Thank you,
it's
Al.
very
Appreciate
impressive.
that.
And you guys have carved out a wonderful space for yourselves here with this, obviously.
Well, Al, tell us, this is all nice to catch up, but tell us the good news. What good news do you have?
I do have a little news. I am going to be on May 23rd. I will be beginning to do a series at the Zone, the Big Fights USA Boxing Series, working with your former partner, Raul Marquez.
Raul El Diamante.
El Diamante, yes.
So you and I are like joined at the hip with people
Yes.
that we work with. So yeah, that's going to be May 23rd. I'll be the first show I'm doing on that series. And on
where
the
is that?
Zone. That is going to be in Detroit, Michigan, and Wayne State, I think, the field house there. So I'm happy about that.
Well,
That's
Al,
gonna be a lot of
Showtime
fun.
getting shut down, it hurt our bank accounts. It hurt our career
Brutal.
advancement, but
Brutal.
it happens. You've been through it before.
Yeah.
At this point in your career, was it devastating? Like, I know you've already rebounded. This announcement is great, but like,
Yeah, congratulations.
You were part of the
Thank you.
fabric of that network. So
Yeah.
how hard is this?
You know, to be perfectly candid, my feeling is I thought there was another year or two left in Showtime's boxing, at least. You know, we all knew maybe it might, but they had a great year and lucrative
such a
in
good year.
many respects with all those pay-per-views. But, you know, there's no accounting for, and I don't think the decision not to do boxing had anything to do with even that part of it. It was more just they didn't want to have that as their brand. It was a blow to everybody, obviously, and distressing. But it is, like you say, it is part of. We've all been through these things, and in this business, right? Things are very mercurial, aren't they?
Al, I got to know, what is your fight prep look? How has it changed over time? Because what I'm basically asking is, what are the keys to staying sharp year after year after year? I never turn on a broadcast and worry about whether you know what's going on, whether you've done your homework. It just shows up, but clearly there's a process involved.
Yeah,
What is it?
that's a great question. I think it's a really salient question because, for me personally, I think it's preparation, and it's focused preparation. That's the way I feel about it. Like, you can know a whole bunch of things, but you need to put them into places where they're going to be beneficial to you while you're doing a fight. I mean, Brian understands this, and you guys know it. You need to have that information in bullet form or in your brain or in a place where, number one, you can call on it when it is appropriate, or put it into the narrative because it does mean something. So if you know something's important to say in round 6, you're going to have it earmarked to say in round 6, whether it's a fighter as he moves on to later fights. You need to have that material, and that comes from preparing, right? So I think the trick to staying sharp is to do the preparation. I know that sounds simplistic, but nonetheless, it's true. And to prepare in such a way that, it's really going to help you for the broadcast.
Simple, not easy. Simple, not easy.
Yeah, simple, not easy. That's right. There are a lot of things that fall into that category, aren't there?
Sure.
Did you ever face backlash from this standpoint? And Luke's a great example of somebody who didn't grow up as a fighter, but can break down fight tape and show you what's going on. You were a color analyst that didn't have specifically that trainer or fighting background, and you kind of broke the mold. Maybe there were ones before you that did it, but like you're very comfortable breaking down the technique of a fight for being a non-fighter. Was there ever pushback?
Friction.
Now there are some victims of my amateur boxing career, and when I say victims, I do not mean knockout victims because I had maybe 30 amateur fights, and I'm going to say maybe one stoppage, and that probably was only because the guy tripped. But nonetheless, nothing. But I wasn't a boxer, so I was just, when I started doing it on ESPN, here's the way I approached it. My feeling was first, I had to gain some credibility from the audience.
Yeah.
Before I could even, I had to analyze the fight to some degree, but I couldn't just come out of the box telling you, analyzing the fight, like Gil Clancy would, or somebody of that note at that time. And I was really one of the first non-boxers to do color commentary on a network. I might have been the first. And I kind of, people have said to me that I kind of invented that, or that it was thrust upon me.
You made it okay for Max Kellerman to follow you. For anyone else who's got a mind for the sport, but it doesn't, sometimes fans or network execs can be so focused on, it's got to be the accomplished ex-athlete.
Absolutely. And you look at the people that, the people, Rich Murata came after me, Dave Bontempo, Kellerman, Steve Farhood, all these people that showed they knew how to talk about the fights. I think in my case, it was kind of unique because I wasn't known to that audience at all, and I had to show them that I knew what I was talking about, and then I could get to the point where I would lean even more on the analysis of the fight. But I still believe to this day, anybody that sits down and is just going to analyze the fight is not ready to do their job if they have no other information to bring. I don't care if you're a fighter. You still should. Andre Ward will tell you to this day. Andre and I have had many conversations about broadcasting, and his big thing to me is, you're the guy that gave me my bullet point idea, the idea, and to this day he says it. So
what's amazing for me is because obviously my career got started in MMA.
Yeah.
So
Did you get? I didn't really answer your question whether I got feedback or
pushback,
backlash from it. Once in a blue moon, but very seldom. Okay. Go ahead.
So I was just going to say, one of the things I've been doing the last couple of years is really trying to go back and see fights that I missed from before when I began to pay attention.
Right.
And how many times your voice shows up on the broadcast has just blown me away.
It's ridiculous.
So let me just say this.
I'm stalking you.
Yeah. Well, let me ask this. Do you have a favorite, I'm not saying a call of yours, but do you have a favorite ringside moment during a call?
Yes. And I just said it to somebody 15 minutes ago, strangely enough, because they were asking me, talking about Johnny Tapia. I did the play-by-play on Johnny Tapia's fight in which he, after being on drugs, being on the street, a 3-year period where he almost died. You can't be lower than he was. He came back in the sport, eventually got himself to a world title, and he won the world title in the pit in Albuquerque in front of 14,000 hometown fans. And when that fight ended, I said, and Johnny Tapia is all the way back. And Dave Bontempo and I shut up for 2 minutes.
That's awesome.
It's my favorite moment in broadcasting. Period.
Even now, I
and it was, and we both kind of knew at that moment. I was lucky to say I think the right thing, and
you're a man who's being sought after.
I know that's a guy that's waiting for me to be on, so I might have to get off in a minute. But you know what? It just felt like the right moment to me, and I'm not I've never been a slogan guy or a catchphrase guy or anything like that, right? So that was as close as I've come probably to maybe saying this thing that, has been quoted back or whatever. But that's one of those moments that if you look at a single moment, it was like,
well, let me close with this because you're a busy man, as all of us are. But what you added to the soundtrack, of course, of Corrales versus Castillo won May 7th, 2005, if I'm correct, just down the road, which we were allowed to say arguably might be the greatest fight of all time. But you had the seat, and you had the call, and you had the one-liners, and you had everything there. What's the case for it actually being the greatest fight in boxing history, and you were lucky enough to have that seat in that.
Yeah,
call.
it's probably, and of course it's so subjective. There have been so many great fights. So, and I'm not a list maker or this is the best or anything, but most people kind of think of that as the best lightweight championship fight of maybe if you go way back, I haven't seen everything, but. Because after that guy really wants me on the show. I'm supposed to be on it, but I'm going to finish this answer to you because you guys, I got to do it.
Love you.
So I think that where were we? I lost my track.
The case for
the case for that. Okay. I think that that fight was as hard fought and brilliantly fought and technically efficient as any fight could be for 12 rounds. Like I always say, it's the best fight I ever announced because I announced Hagler-Hearns, but this is Hagler-Hearns times 4.
On steroids, this is stretched out,
And there was never a moment in that fight that wasn't exciting. And if you ask me the two broadcasts that I'm most proud of, one was the Barkley-Duran fight I did with Gil Clancy where I did play-by-play, and the other one was that fight with Steve Albert.
It is.
I feel like we didn't get in the way of a good fight.
No, you only added. And Steve Albert,
and that's what I'm hoping.
We all love Morrow. Morrow's one of my best friends in the industry. I'm so happy they put Steve Albert in the Hall of Fame because you two together are up there in that conversation of what are the best teams.
It was really a nice team, and I've been privileged to work with some. You mentioned Morrow. Barry Tompkins, and also...
You better take that call.
I know,
you gotta take it.
You know what? I got to go on another show, so I'm going to have to...
Al Bernstein.
I love you guys, and I apologize profusely.
May 23rd on DAZN.
May 23rd on DAZN. Big Fights USA Boxing.
Can't wait to
nice
see
to
it,
see you, Al.
Thank you so
much. There he
much.
is. All right, answer that gentleman's phone call. Thank you so much, Al.
They're calling him.
They calling him.
They called him. Hey, what a fun show today, right? We had Ariel Helwani sit in. We had Canelo. I mean, I don't want to rank him in order of popularity, but
hell, he might be up there too.
Wow. I mean, the room's cleared out, the food's gone. You're cold. See, the thing is, I would be worried about most people if you were delivered a plate of food, which you were by Dan Kenobi an hour and a half ago.
After accusing him of having HIV.
It would be cold and disgusting and moldy, but that's how you prefer it, true or false?
I mean, it's been sitting there for maybe an hour. It's not moldy.
You get
cold,
worried to leave it for how long?
Several hours.
No, to be serious, what is rooted within you that makes you do that? Is it the military background?
People serve food too hot. I firmly believe it. Hot take.
All right,
I believe that people serve food too. Reminder: 11 a.m. in the East tomorrow. A regular MK episode. Yes, a Friday MK episode.
We're going to talk MMA too.
Thank you to everyone who watched today. Thank you to all of our guests: Al Bernstein, Stephen Espinosa, Canelo, Jaime Munguia,
Vito
Chris Algieri,
Mielnicki Jr.
Vito Mielnicki, the whole shebang.
Hey, we didn't get to talk to Mario Barrios and ask him about he's got a baby on the way. Mad bills to pay with Figueroa's sister. Congratulations!
Yeah, I bet you wanted to ask about that.
That's,
fucking horn dog.
Okay, that is. I'm celebrating like life.
Let's talk about that pregnancy, player.
Hey, it was great talking to all of you out there, including
Hercules
Jay.
Gomez.
What about Jay Paquette? You never talk about him anymore. Maybe we'll read a fan sub from him.
Do some fan subs. morningcombat@gmail.com. All that good stuff.
Okay.
You want to take us out?
Thank you to our great team from Manich to
everybody here. Thank you to everyone. Really appreciate it.
How
well
about
done.
Brick on camera
well
right
done.
there? Is that Seth on audio? This has been great. Is that Paige on acai bowls? That's
on
great.
everything. Tons of different stuff.
Thank you to our great staff here, and thank you to you, and thank you to DraftKings. And we're gonna do it again tomorrow. Room Service Diaries is gonna air. It's gonna schedule tonight, air Sunday. That's all I got for Luke Thomas. This has been Brian Campbell. Guys, this is what we love to do. This is the spirit that we bring to this show, so fuck off.
We're going to bang each other. Oh, why don't you step on food, you dumb asshole?